Distinguished judges, friends, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and a very warm welcome to our third edition of PowerACE competition. Sustainable Energy Association of Singapore launched its Sustainable Energy Startup Network CSUN in July 2018 to provide a platform for young companies in the startup ecosystem the opportunity to share their ideas and innovations with the more established professionals in the industry. Targeted at energy startups, CEAS introduced two initiatives in 2018, PowerACE competition that you're part of today, and the ACES Innovation Arena to really help showcase the young startups so that they could have exposure to all these various visitors and investors, co-collaborators that they could interact with during our Asia Clean Energy Summit. PowerACE is a startup competition that looks at providing a platform for all the players of the clean energy industry, um, players of the clean energy startup ecosystem with interest to enter the Southeast Asian market. As we know, COVID-19 has impacted our lives in more ways than one. While we would have liked to host all our participants in person on the show floor today, the pandemic has changed much of our plans. And after careful consideration, we decided to host our third annual PowerACE startup competition virtually. With this virtual format, PowerACE 2020 will bring you all the elements from the live experience on a digital platform and reach a global audience of industry professionals. So expect the same networking opportunities with investors and industry experts on a global scale, all from the comforts of your own home or anywhere in the world on the go. We hope that with this new format, PowerACE can empower energy startups to create more meaningful collaborations and opportunities to help scale businesses during these challenging times. We are very pleased with the response that we have received, close to 60 applications from all over the world, including Singapore, for this year's PowerACE competition. We have shortlisted, with the help of a very honorable jury, 12 startups who will shortly pitch to our esteemed panel of judges, and you can learn more about their products and services at the virtual exhibition floor. We hope that these new energy companies can showcase and exhibit their ideas and innovations as part of a bigger strategy to build a more robust energy ecosystem in Singapore and within Asia. We are, of course, very encouraged by the support of Enterprise Singapore. We are working very closely with them to address some of the pain points for the startups. We are also very honored to have two special awards to be given to two very deserving startups this year: an Ecolabs Special Award worth 100,000, sponsored by Ecolabs Center of Innovation for Energy, and a Private Financing Advisory Network, that is PFAN for short, Impact Award worth $13,000, sponsored by PFAN. We look forward to our ongoing collaboration with our partners to grow the sustainable energy ecosystem for all our startups. Alongside the thought leadership and knowledge sharing, at ACES, we also have a virtual exhibition where you can meet other renewable energy and energy efficiency companies, not only from Singapore, but from all around the world, who are showcasing their technologies and services on our exhibition floor. I would encourage you to use the various tools and apps available to set up meetings with our exhibitors if you have not already done so. We would also like to take this opportunity to acknowledge our partners, PFAN and Ecolabs, and our esteemed judges and mentors who have lent their unwavering support to CEAS in this endeavor. Finally, I would like to wish all our 12 shortlisted startups who are going to be pitching today a very successful and fruitful competition. Thank you very much.
So ladies and gentlemen, let's officially start the PowerACE pitching session. PowerACE 2020 is a pitching competition which provides a platform for startups of the clean energy ecosystem to share their big ideas to the C-suite executives and investors. Today, we have with us 12 selected startups to pitch on their innovative projects to our judges. We are honored to have our esteemed judges today, and they are Dr. Peter DuPont, Asia Regional Coordinator, Private Financing Advisory Network, Mr. Bernard Lee, Deputy Chief Executive, Energy Planning and Development Division, Energy Market Authority. And last but not least, we have Mr. Charles Ludwig, Investment Director, Ecolab Center of Innovation for Energy. Welcome all judges. At the end of this session, the judges will announce the winners of PowerACE 2020. Two special awards to be given to two lucky startups this year. An Ecolab Special Award worth $100,000, sponsored by Ecolab Center of Innovation for Energy, and a PFAN Impact Award worth $13,000, sponsored by the Private Financing Advisory Network. Without further ado, we will now start the pitching session proper. May we invite the first speaker, Joshua Chua, from Enzine to pitch on their project, the Pandora Energy Key that unlocks possibilities for energy consumers in the future. Joshua, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Joshua, co-founder from Anzen, powering freedom to new and existing mobilities with lifetime maintenance free battery that provides more application as stored renewable energy. Next. 59% from 330 users of a survey that we conducted prove battery is the main issue. You have to spend about $300 for a new battery or $1,000 for a new bike. 68% will charge the e-bike at home knowing there's risk of explosion. Most importantly, owners are looking for a safe and reliable battery service with incentives. Next. So, we will provide a lifetime maintenance-free battery, thus user does not need to buy anymore. It comes with a non-explosive technology, removes daily charging at home, and promotes renewable energy usage through gamification. Next. Meet Pandora, the safest and swappable battery service platform consisting of universal IoT battery packs stored through network of charging stations, decarbonizing transportation of new and existing mobility with distributed renewable energy storage. Next. Meet Zhang Wei, whom uses an e-bike to commute between places after being upgraded with Anzen IoT battery. When his e-bike is low on power, he will get a notification from his mobile app, goes to the nearest station and swap for a new battery. Next, please. A world-first universal battery around the size of a 700 ml cola bottle that powers variable voltages for different mobility such as wheelchair, scooters, and bikes. Next. Our first tech is a patented explosion-proof self-extinguisher. It is the first in the world to be nested beneath battery cells. Next, please. Our second patent-pending technology is the PowerMax chip that increases performance 2 times at half the size and 31% cheaper and can power all kinds of mobility. Next. Our first go-to-market is in China, where the electric trends will grow a 22 billion e-mobility market. This is equal to a 30 million new bikes bought to replace old bikes. But we are targeting the 300 million current user that has a shorter sales cycle due to the aging battery at 10x the forecasted market size. After then, we will roll out to the rest of Asia Pacific when opportunities open up. Next, please. We will sell the hardware to a focus channel offline mobility shops at a 15% margin. This service will be swapped by end user mobility owners on a monthly subscription and will be expanded for rental of powering electronics on a year 2 at no extra cost. This subscription receipt will be distributed among 2 partners. Anzen will take 90% to maintain our services, Mobility Shop will collect 10%, and this creates a win-win proposal. Next. Personally, I have 15 years in mobility industry with design awards and 5 years of launching new product with $500,000 sales each year. Our CTO has 10 years of battery and EV charging experience in China. Together with this team, we will be able to bring our services to the market successfully. Next, please. The attraction of the solution can be sold as a product and used as a service. With 82K users, we'll be able to have a net profit of 4 million from sales and subscription revenue. Next, please. So far, we have set up an assembly line and started batch production of certification. So 150K of electric mobility and an LOI of a city deployment with 3,000 users on April 2011. Once certified mid-November 2020, the swapping service will be available through 10 offline bike shops for 100 users. Next, please. We are looking for 1.3 million of pre-seed round for blockchain and sales team development. The financing for year 2021 will reach out to 82,000 users on the platform. Next, please. The innovative pack is the energy key that unlocks the most versatile virtual power network with renewable energy, and it provides intangible, usable waste on the ground. It allows anyone to be prosumer to produce, store, use, and sell energy in between through the smart charging station known as energy routers. Together, we can actively prevent a climate change tsunami, ensuring energy independence and freedom during natural disaster. Last, please. The technology is ready. Join Anzen now to make this a reality. Thank you very much for your time and attention.
Thank you so much, Joshua. Thank you so much for that presentation. So it's now time for the judges to ask their questions. Over to you, judges.
Okay, this is Peter from PFAN. Bernard, would you like to start out with questions?
Thanks, Peter. Joshua, thank you for the presentation. I have 2 questions. One is, the idea of battery swapping was tried by this company, Better Place, right? But they didn't succeed. Noted that this is a different market segment, but can I get some thoughts for you? Why do you think battery swapping would succeed in this vertical when it didn't succeed in the automotive sector? The second question is, if you have an interesting technology where you build the fire suppressant technology into the battery cells, have you thought of licensing that technology to different battery manufacturers or e-bike manufacturers rather than to build up the entire go-to-market strategy and building your own bikes and starting a rental model? Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Bernard, for the question. There are 2 questions for you. Let me take the first one. First one is the case study example against Better Place. Better Place is a swapping battery for automotive, as I mentioned. Why do you think the main question is that why do you think we will be successful in China? Okay, one of the main difficulties that Better Place has had faced would be the scaling of the infrastructure. So when we went into China, the bespoke design or the bespoke hardware solution that we have done is really ready for scaling. Secondly, we have to take note of the place where the solution is being implemented. In terms of the micro mobility, China has already emerged in terms of the infrastructure and the user case. So this allows us to tap into the ready market for battery swapping for micro mobility instead of the automobiles. Automobiles, why do we think is more? Why our solution will be more easily taken up by the audience against Better Place? Because the aging battery from the ready pool of micro mobility users are already facing the problem. So our solution will be the one that they are already looking for at negligible cost. So therefore, we provide a lifetime maintenance. Second question, I hope we answer your question. The second question with regards to the fire suppression, which is our patented technology, which is a self-fire extinguisher. Yes, we have technology. We are licensing. We are in talks with actually LG from Korea, LG Chem, of using that technology in energy storage system. Recently, Shell has opened out for proposal for the ESS that integrate into the petrol station for EV charging. we are working with various corporate partners or bigger one to look at our self-fire extinguisher that can be integrated into that into the packs to be an effective decentralized fire suppressing technology. Yes, so there are two sides we are working on. One side is that we are looking at licensing, talking in terms with LG Chem. Second, we are also actively talking with companies on the ground to utilize or leverage on the technology that we have. I hope I answered your question, Mr. Bernard.
Joshua, I'd like you to keep your answers a little shorter because we don't have that much time. So Charlie, would you like to ask one or two questions? We're waiting for Charlie. I do have one question, and then we'll go back to Charlie. Again, this is Peter from Private Financing Advisory Network. You show you're going from 125 users today to 10,000 users next year on your projections. So could you describe who the main target market is and how are you going to reach those people and scale up? That's quite a scale up in 1 year.
Okay. Hi, Dr. Peter. Let me take your questions in as short as possible. So for this year, we are targeting a 100 user through the offline bike shop. So as I was just saying, owners of light micro mobility in China is very matured in terms that there's a large scale. So we reach out to every community or the offline bike shops that provide the servicing. So every shop will give us about 5 to 10 customers, which is not hard. So 10 shop, 100 user. Once we have proven the numbers and get the cost per acquisition, we'll scale up through the offline bike shop in China to reach out to the 10,000 user. It's actually not that hard. So every shop, 100 shops will give us about 10 to 100 user. So we have done our own market research in Xinjiang, in Henan province. We have a network of offline bike shop ready to deploy our hardware solution into the market with the community user.
Great, thank you very much.
No,
that's great. Thank you very much and very interesting business model. Charlie, do you have a question or two?
Thanks. No, I was on mute earlier. I think generally my questions have been answered by the other guests. I think I believe that the fire suppressing technology is a very interesting piece. And my only question on that is it battery agnostic or system agnostic? Can the fire suppressing technology be installed in any size or type of battery pack?
Thank you, Mr. Charles, for the question. Yes, it can. It can be activated by itself or by a digital signal.
Okay, thank you. No, I think that's it for me.
Yeah, and I just have one question following up on Bernard's question about why this didn't work in the automobile sector. And it has to do, if you could just explain how you standardize your battery pack, the universal IoT battery pack, so it works in so many different multiple devices. It wasn't clear. I'm just interested in the standardization issue.
So we talk about the brand of electric mobility or the entire supply chain in the vertical. The brand for electric mobility just designed the chassis. Yes, just design the chassis. Then they will ask for another OEM of a battery pack to provide that battery. So there's no standardization in every respective electric mobility. So we want to disrupt in this process where we provide a standardized connector and where the standardized IoT battery pack can output through that one single connector with 24, 36, 48, 60 volt to 72 volt. If the electric mobility requires a bigger power requirement, that battery pack that is as big as a water bottle size, this size, could be stacked up like an AA battery up to 4 to 6 to power each independently. Yes, so of course, the connector that we have is redesigned with a bespoke solution, working with a top 500 companies specializing in connectors for missiles in China. Yes.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Joshua. Thank you for your time, and we're going to move on to the next pitch. So good luck.
Let's carry on and move on to the next presenter. May we invite the next speaker?
Great. Before I start, I want to thank PowerACE for this opportunity. We are so excited to be here and showcase our technology to all of you. We are Birdseye Energy. We are an energy company with a strong focus on innovation. We've developed India's most efficient solar panel, which gives the best value proposition to our customers. Let me explain how. Next slide, please. So there are a lot of customers who need a lot of electricity and hot water. And if they want to go solar, there are two options in the market today. One is a PV system, which makes only electricity. The other is a solar hot water system that generates only hot water. And because the rooftop space is quite limited, the customers end up having to choose one of the two systems and they forego the benefit of the other. And whichever system they choose, they come with their own pain points. The PV system energy output is too low, break-even period is too long, and the hot water system, the life is too short, it needs frequent replacements, and it has a lot of maintenance issues as well. Next slide, please. So we at Bird's Eye Energy have solved all of these pain points by combining both of these into a single product. Can you go to the next slide, please? Yeah, so we've launched India's first and only patented two-in-one solar panel. So our panel produces as much electricity as a standalone PV system and as much hot water as a standalone hot water system, but it does that from a single compact system. So it works using a patented heat exchanger that's inside the panels, and that absorbs more of sun's energy and uses that efficiently to generate both electricity and hot water simultaneously. Next slide, please. And because it's a single compact system, it's cost effective to install than two separate systems. It has a much higher energy yield, and that's how we were able to bring down the payback period by half. Also, we robustly engineered it to have 3 times longer life than other hot water systems, and it needs much less maintenance as well. So that's how we were able to take two outdated technologies, combine both of them into a single product, which is more cost efficient, higher efficiency, it's more durable, and it needs much less maintenance as well. That's how we were able to address all of the pain points that were really holding back the adoption of rooftop solar, especially in India. That's about our product. Next slide, please. We've launched our product about a year ago, and so far we have more than $200,000 in our order books. We have more than 20 paying customers. And one of the things that a lot of our customers say, and we love hearing that, is that this is exactly the kind of solar product we're looking for. And that really confirms that the product meets the requirements of the customers that it's developed for. Next slide, please. So anyone who needs both electricity and hot water is a potential customer. We have applications across different market segments. But the market segments we are most excited about is a commercial and industrial. This is where our 10x growth, we believe, is going to come from. There are a lot of customers in commercial and industrial who do not want to put in the upfront investment for a solar system. They would rather invest that money in their own business and grow their own business. So we wanted to eliminate that one last hurdle as well. So we want to combine our unique product with a finance model to create a never before kind of a value proposition for our customers. Next slide, please. So we want to partner with financial institutions like Tata Capital, and we want to invest in the system so that our customers do not have to put anything upfront for the system. And we would supply electricity and hot water both at much lower prices than whatever it's costing our customers today. So that way our customers can be cash positive and have savings right from day one with zero investment. So we want to make it a no-brainer decision. We really think it's going to be a game-changing model for two reasons. One, we are the only company in India with a product like this that does both electricity and hot water from a single system. Not just that, but in Southeast Asia, we're the only company which would be offering a product like this with zero investment under an OPEX model, or energy as a service model is what we want to call it. This is why we think it's a great value proposition for our customers, which no other energy technology can even come close to. And it removes all of the hurdles that have been holding back the growth of solar industry and makes it a no-brainer or a lot easier to take the solar decision. We've been talking about this energy as a service model to some of our clients, and they're really excited about it. Right now, we are in talks with the Radisson Group of Hotels and Brigade Group. Brigade Group is one of the biggest real estate companies in India. So we are identifying their properties, which would be really good pilot projects. This is why we think it's a great value proposition and a game changer, especially in the commercial and industrial segment. The investors would stand to benefit as well because our solar system has a much higher energy yield in general, and that's what our revenue is tied to. The project IRR and equity IRR are going to be much higher than other energy technologies. We can also do flexible payment plans depending on the customer's risk profile and their consumption patterns. That's because we have two forms of energy to play with. We are looking to execute this in a 70 to 30% debt to equity ratio. So that's about our technology, our company, and our growth plan. I have in the appendix, I have a few more slides about our target market segment and our more details about our growth plan. So happy to answer any questions you have.
All right, we'll get the judges to proceed to ask their questions.
Great. So again, this is Peter. Thank you, Praneeth. And I'd like to hand it over to Charlie first this time.
Sure, thanks. Praneeth, very interesting deck and presentation. My biggest question is, because you combine two systems into one, are you really, does that mean that rather than focus on being really excellent at one application, you're just good enough in two applications combined?
Not really, because we, in terms of total energy that we're generating, we are actually on par with either of the individual technologies. Like I said, in terms of total electricity generated, we are on par with the standalone electric system. And in terms of the total hot water generated, we are on par with the standalone hot water system. So we are as good as two separate technologies, but we are accomplishing that within a single product. And we're able to do that because we are able to use more of sun's energy than either of these technologies are able to. That's how we're generating more energy than any of the single product.
So the key innovation related to your product would be related to a form factor, or is it an advanced material?
That's a great question. So it's actually both. So our version 1 of the product that's in our market now, it's an innovation and our patent around the design or the form factor of the product. But I said we have a strong focus on innovation, so our R&D never stops. So the next version that we're developing is not just an innovation on form factor, but also a confidential material mix. So we are developing a new polymer material that has much higher heat thermal conductivity than other polymers. So that is going to bring down the cost and improve the performance even further. So to answer your question, the innovation and the patent lies on both fronts, the form factor and the secret material that we are developing, a polymer mix that we are developing.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, and thank you for keeping your responses brief, Praneeth. Bernard, do you have a question or two?
Thanks, Peter. Praneeth, thanks for the presentation. Just a small clarification. Is Tata Capital's financing extended to your company or extended to the buyer? I'm trying to understand how the funds flow.
Sure, that's a great question again. So we are working on two models. So one model is where the finance is extended to us. So we would invest in the system and we would own the system, and that's the model we're launching now. But 1 year down the line, when we have our cost-reduced product out in the market and we have scale of economies, we want to move towards a model where Tata Capital would be financing the end customer directly. So we want to move towards a model where the customer himself has enough confidence in our product and the cost is also reduced even further, so that they can directly take finance and their savings in the from the solar system would more than make up for their finance cost. Did I answer the question?
Yes, Praneeth. Thanks for the clarification. I think the second, your long-term model is a lot more sustainable and scalable.
Definitely.
Rather than have the financing go through your company. Thanks for the clarification.
Yeah, that's our end goal as well. Yeah.
Praneeth, excuse me, I have two questions. The first is, this sounds too good to be true. And
that's what our customers said too.
Could you very briefly describe the history of who has tried to combine solar PV and solar water heating and why it has failed up to now? Just briefly.
Sure.
And you did describe some of the developments you've made, but and also related to that, who do you have competitors?
Thank you for that question. So in terms of history in India, there is no precedent, but outside of India, yes, there are a couple of European companies that have developed a similar product. But the power output, the temperature output, and the way the product is designed is more suited for European operations and their consumption patterns. So we just transplanting or copy pasting that technology into India would not have worked. Not just because it's expensive, but also because the design of the product does not lend itself to the type of water quality we have here and how the customer uses the product. So we developed the design from ground up, especially for Indian customers and our environmental conditions. We've actually imported one of the German panels, and we've done side-by-side testing. And under Indian conditions, we've seen that our product outperforms the German company as well. Not that it's a bad product, but it's just developed for a different set of user conditions.
Okay, and then I just like to zero in, because we're sort of running out of time now, on your sort of go-to customers. Would it be hotels, and also just in terms of industry, you would be somewhat limited because you couldn't provide the high temperature water needed. But would it really? It seems like the go-to customer might be hotels, and if so, what percentage of the revenues?
That is right. So our first, I mean, as a startup, we don't want to target 10 different market segments. So our first go-to-market is hotels. So the next 1 year, that's what we're going to focus on. We're going to build a scalable model in hotel segment and then move to the other commercial and industrial segments. About the temperature, we are able to go up to 65 to 70 degrees of water temperature. And there are a lot of industries that need higher temperature. So there, our pitch is going to be that you don't have to get rid of your existing hot water systems. So let us preheat the water and supply preheated water to your steam generators or wherever you need high temperature, so that we're still saving a significant amount of energy in your electric boilers or diesel boilers or whatever you're using for your high temperature water.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time. That was excellent, and really enjoyed the presentation. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Pradeep. All right, so next up we have Martin Lim from Electrify to pitch on his project, Transforming the Grid with P2P Energy Trading. Martin, please.
Great. Thank you, Nadia. So thank you, everyone, for this opportunity. This presentation will be pretty quick, so we have more time for a discussion. Next slide, please. So when we developed this solution, this platform, we looked at the gaps in the current market right now. And these are the 4 points that we identified. First off, the current energy market is all designed for centralized generation. And we see that very prevalent in almost all the markets that we've gone through and explored. Renewable energy is very desirable for most grids, as what we can see from Singapore, for example, but it's also very costly to deploy on the grid operation level. Next problem is that the electrons are fungible and they are effectively impossible to track. So if that's the case, then how do we begin to even start measuring the energy being generated and consumed at both separate ends? Because the fourth point is that the current methodologies used to track the consumption of renewable energy are outdated and they're inefficient and they're very vulnerable to greenwashing. And we're talking about the current expectations around RECs, for example. The next slide, please. So understanding these few market gaps, we've come up with a position on how we to address and tackle these problems. First off, we look at redesigning how energy markets could function around decentralized energy resources, because we have a lot more of these DERs on the grid right now. Secondly, we also want to optimize these DERs to provide more stability and sustainability to the grid operator on the grid itself. Next, we do this through the application of real-time tracking technologies using IoT and measuring how the current energy usage is better done between prosumers and consumers, including generation as well. And lastly, of course, we want to create a data platform that allows for the visualization of this energy that's been tracked and measured. And this in turn creates greater interaction with the energy. And we've pretty much done that. Next slide, please. What we built effectively was a platform called Synergy. And Synergy is the first viable peer-to-peer energy trading platform that works across a citywide grid. And this is very, very significant. Unlike most other platforms that talk about trading on a microgrid with potential to scale, our platform was designed to work across a utility-sized grid from day one. The next slide, please. So the big questions are how and what exactly does Synergy do, and what's the big deal about Synergy? First off, it's really immediate. We take real-time data as it's being generated and we trade it against the data from consumption in real time. We use a methodology called the time of use, where we settle with the market period. In Singapore, it's every 30 minutes, giving us 48 periods of settlement in Singapore. And we've tested this in Australia as well, and 5-minute intervals. So this real-time energy trading and tracking and settlement process occurs in absolute real time. Subsequently, this whole system is also very inclusive. It allows anyone to participate, and we work with the grid operator to carry this out. So anyone could benefit from this system across the entire citywide grid. And lastly, we think this is far, far more responsible because settlement data that's provided through the system uses the operator, in this case, we use SP's own metering network in order to provide the data for settlement. The next slide, please. So to sum it up very quickly, what we've done is we've created a platform that dynamically allows for the pairing and matching of consumers to DERs using rooftop solars and even energy storage systems. This allows the utility to develop new energy distribution models such as VPP and even community ESS. For example, like some of the other solutions you might see on the market today with regard to storage solutions, for example, we can make them 100% green. Next slide, please. When I said earlier on about scalability and what size we're at, the system we have is 100% efficient. What that means is all the energy entered into the system gets traded. Nothing gets left behind. No money's left on the table, effectively. Today, the system can handle 2,000 participants in real time. That's based on the architecture that we've got built in PHP. Next year, we move to a microservices architecture together with help from AWS, and we expect to be able to hit 2 million participants across any city by Q1 next year. The next slide, please. Today, we've already gone to market in Singapore together with Sonoco, backed by NG Factory, in a limited run for up to 100 participants in Singapore. We're already discussing now with Tenaga Nasional Berhad, the national utility in Malaysia, to do a pilot in early 2021, as well as with the PEA in Thailand for a pilot there too. The next, please.
All right. Thank you, Martin.
Thank you. I think that's, yeah.
Last slide. Okay.
So happy to take questions.
Yeah. Judges can proceed to ask your questions, please.
Well, thank you, Martin. It's amazing how quickly 5 minutes goes by, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So Bernard, would you like to start?
Sure. Thanks, Peter. Martin, thanks for the presentation. For you to scale up in a market like Singapore, for example, what are some of the regulatory changes that need to be made? Or how would it actually work? Yeah.
So there aren't any. To be honest, we've been talking to some of your colleagues within EMA for the last 2 years. The last conversation was in January. We really do just need the regulator to say, yes, we can deploy this in Singapore. But because there was resistance, we instead went with the commercial route and we went to talk to Sonoco instead, which has happily gone to market together with us. So in terms of being able to deploy across all of Singapore, they just have to turn it on. It does not violate any regulatory framework.
Thanks.
Okay. Charlie?
Yeah, so my question is related to the team behind the startup. I don't think that I saw any details there. Martin, can you please give a brief introduction?
So the team, my ex-co-founder and myself, we both came from energy, came from retailers. We were both formerly at Sunseap before. And when we developed this system, we had another colleague who was formerly from DMVGL. And the team hasn't grown very much since then. We are about 14, 15 people today. Most of our technology builders are in Singapore. We have a small team overseas for technology. That's out of Sri Lanka. We have a small ODC over there.
Did you mention that your co-founder is an ex-co-founder? Has he left the company?
Yeah, so again, it's one of the trials and tribulations in a startup. We had undergone a lot of stress, and pretty much, yeah, he left the business about a year ago. So in terms of the business analytics side of things, it's pretty much me tanking most of it right now.
Okay, thank you.
Couple questions, Martin. The well, the first one is maybe the more direct. So, what were your revenues, and what are your expected revenues this year, and what are your expected revenues next year?
Our expected revenues for this year are going to be pretty low. We're only deploying with Sunoco in Singapore right now. Come next year, we expect to be deploying pilots with TNB and with PA as well. Even though those pilots we expect to be paid, the revenues will not be significant. We're looking at less than 200,000 per pilot. What we expect though is by the following year, when we get the commercial contracts, the numbers should be more significant. We expect to be hit about 500,000 within 2022 and scaling up from there as well once we have significant size with the utility.
So, 200,000 Singapore dollars per pilot.
That's right.
Okay. And how much capital have you raised, and what are you looking for now? Are you doing a capital raise now, or are you doing development with the funding you already have?
We had some small funding. We had about 2-3 million, which lasted the last few years. We're now in the process of doing another round of fundraising because, again, of the current situation, not expect too much. We'd like to get a runway for about another 1 to 2 years. And that will put us in maybe about, looking about between 2 to 3 million Sing.
Okay. And that would be, you're looking for equity.
That's right.
Okay. And one sort of bigger picture question, because could you describe briefly how you would deploy your system to sort of implement a virtual power plant or a community ESS, because that would be huge value for the utility.
Exactly. So we've been talking about these models with a few different operators around the region and even with Australia as well. So out of Oz, the proposition came to us from Arena really was this. We were experimenting with different ESS models and different ESS solutions. The most problematic one was around community ESS. And the problem was not the engineering. We know how to do the engineering. So the problem was the matter of transaction. What we did over the last 3 years was to experiment with the idea of peer-to-peer. We've now come to the conclusion, and our system can do this. We come to the conclusion that peer-to-peer is not the be-all and end-all to the solution. We can now daisy chain and create networks of these various peers. The peers need not be people, the peers can be machine. We've tested this out in Japan with a pilot in Aizu together with FRIA, Fukushima Renewable Energy Institute, and we've tested and it works. So the system agnostic enough, we will track each transaction from solar PV to battery returning power in the evenings back to the home users, and subsequently the battery itself will be betrayed with the grid and self-balance. The key is the self-balancing. That's where we get 100% efficiency from.
Okay, so many questions, so little time. Thank you very much, Martin. Presentation.
Happy to have a further conversation. Happy to. Thank you.
Good luck.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Martin. So let's just give our judges another minute or so to finalize their scorings before we move on to our fourth startup for today. Thank you, Martin. Judges, are we good?
Yeah, I think we're good. Go ahead. Thanks.
All right. Without further ado, let's invite our fourth speaker, Stefano Mazzoni from the Energy Smart Solutions to pitch on their project titled Energy Smart Solutions, Multi-Energy System Optimization during Master Planning and Operations. Stefano, please.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for the great pleasure to be here with you. Well, Energy Smart Solution has been incorporated in 2019 from Professor Alessandro and myself, a spin-off of NTU. We have experience in consulting for Shell, Italian government, Ministry of Research, and actually I'm working as Senior Research Fellow at NTU. Please, next slide. So the problem statement is that nowadays we are looking at solutions for cutting costs and CO2 emissions during the innovative plant design and operations. And what does it mean? It means that nowadays there is this disruptive swap from traditional generation to multi-energy system. And we have to take into consideration the tightening of the regulation for cutting CO2 emission and complying with 2050 targets. So once you don't have something that supports you in optimally designed power plants characterized by integration of multi-energy system, you encounter into high expenses design, you increase the carbon tax and the operational cost, and especially you're running the system at suboptimal operations that brings to maintenance issues and to over-designed operations. Next, please. So which is the way to solve this kind of complex problem in which are involved a lot of variables? The solution is using the energy optimal planning tool, that is the software platform we have developed, that allows to robustly, fast and flexible simulating CapEx and CapEx reduction for building an industrial district, ensuring reliability and low environmental impact. The software platform is made of two big suites. One is the master planning one that solves problems for master planning and retrofitting problems characterized by integrated of energy system and allows to save manpower, capital cost, and operational cost. And then there is the optimal dispatch and operations suite that allow to solving the unit commitment problem, so the plant scheduling and the virtual and performance monitoring and control. Next, please. The software has been validated among two pilot projects. One is the Jurong Port side, where the software has been used for a retrofitting for a district cooling deployment, where we improve a 30% in capital expenditure reduction, 18% in CO2 saving, and 15% in primary energy saving. And the other one is an optimal scheduling problem, in which we prove that the Cleantech One building can save around $200,000 per year, that correspond to a 17% in energy saving if optimally operated. Then next animation, please. Energy Smart Solution has been supported, awarded and supported Vision Worley Parsons Group for the master planning of a hydrogen methane hybrid cogeneration unit for district cooling. And nowadays we have in the pipeline, next animation please, collaborations among Singapore Power, JTC, Accenture, ADB, and Engie. Next one. We have explored the energy optimization market size, and I want to highlight that these numbers are conservative because they're related to the energy optimization software market, not to the energy market size. And assuming a CAGR of around 11%, Energy Smart Solution is targeting to be able to catch 8% of the market share of Southeast Asia. And through the support of grant and investors, we want to be able to commercialize the software worldwide. So the cake is quite big, and the projection can be very bright. Next one. EOPT present a unique value proposition when compared to other software that are our main competitors like Homer, because the software has been structured to be more versatile and having much more optimization parameters. That means that, as an example, Homer can optimize only on basically only on net present value, taking into consideration especially microgrid and electricity network. But there are some problems when multi-energy system with heating and cooling are taken into consideration. Furthermore, the unique proposition that we have is that we have the database of the components that you can purchase off the market. We have an artificial intelligence routine that allows to establish the load consumption for cooling, heating, water, and electricity for different kind of buildings. We can optimize on a component and district level. We can do performance and component and cost analysis for components. Plus, our solution is one-stop solution. That means that we optimize concurrently the design and the optimal operations. Next one. The business model, the market strategy. Basically, we see that our software can be used by many potential end customers: developers, designers, urban planners, government agency, R&D, and power and energy companies. And we can approach them through three different business models. One is the consulting fee. The other one is that we are based our in cash from the revenue share. And the other one, once the full licensing of the software will be available, we can license the software. Next one, please. This is one another. For arriving to the end customer, we see that we can anyway support, as happened with a Vision Worley Parson, to go through the consultant. The consultant can directly serve the end customer, or the consultant can provide the solution to the EPC, the solution providers, and the system integrator. Or vice versa, we can directly go to the EPC, solution providers, and system integrator, and then go to the end customers. Please, next one. And this is another possible flow rate. So basically, we go through the consultant go to the EPC, and then to the urban planners. Next one, and I think that we conclude. This is the roadmap and how the history of the startup. Basically, we incorporated the company from the Energy Research Institute in 2019. We have in pipeline to hire IT developers for building the full complete OPT software platform to allow the licensing. And this is why we apply for the POB under ESG Enterprise. Then we have already had the first project coming from a Vision Worley Parson, and we have something in the pipeline with Urbana Juron. Then we see that through the support of an investor, we can speed up the commercialization of the software by hiring a BD manager and a sales manager. And in this way, we can easily attack not only Singapore and Southeast Asia market, but we can arrive to expand worldwide. By having done a quite conservative assumption in terms of consulting, licensing, revenue share, income to the company, we can say that in taking into consideration the limitation that arriving from COVID, we'll be able to arrive to around 1 million for the end of 2021, and we are keen to arrive to 3.3 million at the end of 2022. Thank you so much.
Okay, judges, time for questions.
Yeah, thank you so much, Stefano. I'd like to hand it over to Charlie. Would you like to start out?
Sure, thanks for that. Thanks for the presentation. My question is related. My question's related to the complexity of the sales process related to this particular solution. How much customization is required up front versus how much can actually be handled by the software itself?
Okay, basically, we are developing, and this is why we apply for the Enterprise Singapore grant, a web cloud hosting platform for the software. And basically, what we want to achieve through this platform is something that is quite user-friendly. The idea is that exist our competitors, for instance, one famous one for the building low demand generator and so on, that is IES, that requires a lot of details because you have to have the BME of the building, you have to give the details of which is the thickness of the wall, which is the type of material that you use in the building, and so on. And this one requires that basically an architecture or a civil engineer is behind the laptop. What we are trying to do is that with these artificial intelligence features, we are trying to build the software that recognizes the typology of the building. So we can say this is an office building. We retrieve the data from our database for the solar irradiation, the precipitation, and the temperature. The software recognizes the type of the building, the number of occupants, and then it's giving you a rough estimation of the profile. This kind of approach gives you an accuracy of plus minus 5% of the real value. But what we have understood is that even you use a software that is more detailed, JTC has confirmed that after that the TOP of the building, there are anyway a bit of discrepancy between what the software has given and the real operation condition. So what we believe is that at the initial stage, when you want to understand the feasibility of a project and which is the kind of asset that you want to install there, this plus minus 5% is more than acceptable and gives you a lot of flexibility to the user to test different solutions. The other thing is that we are incorporating in the software many objective functions, and we have demonstrated that publishing also 2 papers in the international journal community, in which we have totally skipped the Pareto front optimization that takes time and requires to optimize on different parameters. Instead, we have focused everything in being equivalent cost. That means that the end user can optimize on MPV, in operational cost, capital cost, CO2 reduction, land occupancy, fuel consumption, localized cost of energy, total cost of ownership. And this objective function has some weight, so you can combine the weight to tailor your solution better to what you want to demonstrate.
So Stefano, you'll have to tighten up your answers. That was a very long answer. We don't have that much time. I'm sorry. Bernard,
Okay.
do you have a question, Bernard?
Thanks, Peter. Just a very quick question, Stefano.
Yeah.
How much customization do you require to deploy your solution in other markets outside of Singapore, for example, where the ambient temperature, humidity, where you have heating loads, for example, that is very, very different from Singapore? How much customization is required?
Honestly, we already have the connection to database of worldwide meteorological data. And since the neural network that we are developing can be trained by data set available worldwide, I don't think that the customization needs too much. Because we have already validated the neural network in Europe and in Singapore. And I believe that since you can use also recursive neural network for this kind of problem solution, once you have a data set that you can compare the outcome of your neural network, you can also retrain it recursively, and should not be a big issue. Thank you for your question.
Yeah, Stefano, this really interesting presentation. I have two questions.
Sure.
The first is are you focused more on new construction or the retrofit market, and which countries are you focusing on initially? That's one question.
That's a very good question. Thank you so much. So basically, if you're looking at Singapore, it's more related to brownfield project. And I think that Singapore will be beneficial for us in terms of giving credibility to the market. But I think that the bigger slide of the cake is looking at third countries that are under development, where they have the requirements of building new efficient technology that comply with the carbon emissions, of mainly on greenfield projects. And this is why we have this collaboration ongoing with EDB.
Okay. Sorry, the collaboration with whom?
With Asia Development Bank, because what they do, they found the development of innovative technology building or plant layout, and they are interested in the fact that they are clean, carbon, basically oriented to be carbon free. So in that sense, we can support in validating the design.
Okay, so the next question is, just please don't take this too harshly. You got two PhDs, you're very research oriented, you're both professors. How can you convince us that you can run a company and build up a company?
First of all, because I believe that we have been able to prove that our software, since it's a software, is able to solve practical problems, and it's something that is on the ground, because the project we are working in NTU is on the build-up of a power plant, okay, generation unit in Jurong Port. That is a practical aspect. And then, first of all, I think that the willingness to succeed is something that drives us to do the best that we can for approaching the market. Secondly, I think that we proved to Advision and to our experience with Shell and with the Ministry of Energy in Italy that we can also answer the requirements for the market and not only from the research point of view.
Okay, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
So now we'll have the fifth speaker, Stanley Wang from EtherVolt, to pitch on their project, Secret Key to Maximize Solar PV Life Cycle. Over to you, Stanley.
Thank you. Thanks. This is Stanley from Team EtherVolt Singapore. Today, the topic is Secret Key to Maximize Solar PV Life Cycle. Next slide, please. Global solar capacity is growing at a very fast rate, creating e-waste challenges. Solar panel waste from today's 250,000 tons in year 2030, the projection is going to hit 8 million tons, and in 2050, reaching 80 million tons. Landfill of solar panels in a conventional way is not sustainable. Next slide, please. The current global solar energy economic losses is more than US $2.9 billion. This is from solar panel degradation and also from decommissioning. The public's perception of long-lasting solar lifetime with liability end of life of 20 to 25 years. This is referring to regular loss scenario in the figure. On the other hand, there's something called commercial economic end of life, which is linked to return of investment and also technology advancement. 10 years ago, when I was working for REC Solar, we manufactured 200 watt panels, and today they are making 380 watt panels. This can be so the return of investment can be as short as 5 to 10 years. And referring to the early loss scenario in the figure, this is especially relevant for urbanized cities like Singapore. Itavo has encountered solar decommission projects in Singapore that are between 5 to 7 years old. Next slide, please. So solar e-waste is going to be a serious environmental problem. However, it also creates business opportunity. Itavo's innovative technologies focus on reduce and reuse, which is to prolong life cycle of solar panels and transform waste into resources. Our solar 4R technologies enable sustainable solar renewable business for benefits of everyday life. The first R is called regenerate. The regeneration scanning technology prolongs the lifespan of used and old solar panels. This is through the hydrogen charge state manipulation technology that we are developing. The second R is reutilize. From high power application to low power, such as walkway shelters, noise barriers, car park applications. This technology pillar also includes data learning and digital twin. The third R is repair. Repair panels within economic repair is important to reduce e-waste. And fourth R is recycle. This is to close the loop for solar energy. Next slide, please. Itavo's disruptive tech solution has competitive advantage over current landfill and recycle industries. Cost-efficient application, scalable technology for on-site usage, increased return of investment for existing solar projects. We have a team of solar experts sharing the same vision. The challenges are, first, implementation speed, and also second, will be national policy dependent for the solar recycling business. Next slide, please. Our target market is Asia, as is the largest solar waste market. For reuse, repair, recycle, today there are 100 million decommissioned panels, 44% in Asia. Our target market share is 5% in the Asia region. For advanced regeneration, there are more than 600 gigawatt on the field, which more than 120 gigawatt of panels already degraded. We target for 1% of the commercial deployment in 2022. Next slide, please. For reutilization and recycling, the projected revenue in 2024 will be $22 million USD. For regeneration business model, it's more like a profit sharing model, projected revenue of 26 million in 2024. Next slide, please. For the next 12 months, we will be in the pilot phase. In 1 to 2 years' time, we will be in the commercialization phase. Beyond 2 years, we will be providing one-stop solution for customer, and we call this a kilowatt as a service phase. So far, we have raised pre-seed funding of 220K USD. We are seeking for additional 1 million USD for delivering the company milestones for the commercialization phase. The revenue projection for commercialization phase is 2 million, and projection for kilowatt as a service phase stage is 10 million. Next slide, thank you. Our current supporting organization and collaborators are shown in this slide. Itavo has also recently formed a Singapore-based Solar 4R consortium, with us leading the consortium. Next slide, thank you. This is our team. We have a strong solar industry and research backgrounds with experienced technology and also business advisors. And thank you. Next slide. Looking forward to having your questions.
Thank you, Stanley. Over to you, judges.
Thanks, Stanley. Bernard here. Just a quick question regarding who do you see as your customers, the end users that deploy the solar or the manufacturers of the solar panels?
Yes. So solar manufacturers, the regeneration technology work on solar module level. So that can be the customer, the other potential customer, the EPC players, and also recyclers. At the moment, we already have 5 customers engaging us for disposal of solar panels in Singapore. So we see this as a business opportunity, and we wish to grow bigger in this area.
These 5 companies are end users who had deployed solar on their roofs, or what sort of companies are they?
Yeah, so 2 end users and 2 recyclers, and also 1 EPC company. They all facing problem like the e-waste disposal problem
and they would like to have one company at the end to solve this issue for them.
Okay, you done, Bernard? Okay, we'll move on to Charlie.
Sure. So my question has to do with the technology itself and the novelty of the technology.
Yeah.
I understand that you're able to accomplish this through the usage of lasers, etc.
Yeah.
Does the composition of the panel, composition of the material in the panel, or the performance of your regeneration solution depend on the composition of the panel material?
Thank you for the question. So from our test studies in the lab, it shows that we are able to target P-type multicrystalline and also P-type monocrystalline, which is above 95% of the current market. And with other thin film technology, we are not able to have the solution for regeneration yet, but we believe that with the P-type mono, P-type multi silicon-based technologies, is a majority of the market shares, and the lab test results are showing positive indications, and we are applying for Enterprise Singapore the POC grant, and it's ongoing.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stanley, for your presentation. Really interesting. The first question is sort of a two-part question, but it's, could you explain how much typically you can improve the performance of the efficiency or the performance of a panel on the regeneration? And right now, do you see regeneration as becoming more important over time in terms of revenue versus the sort of scrap and reutilization?
Yeah, definitely. To create a sustainable solar business, we need to prolong the lifespan of the solar panels, and reutilization does exactly that. And why we call it a secret key, because remember this SK2 product that makes the women's skin younger, we can make the solar physical age younger. For example, from a 10 years panel, we bring it back to life to 5 years old. So something like this is a major for the business opportunity. And we foresee that this is one of the important pillar before we even considering the recycling. So recycling will be the end pillar that supporting this business.
So you're sort of a facelift for solar panels.
Oh, yes, yes.
Like plastic surgery.
Yeah.
I have one more question. Could you describe how you intend to sort of segue into kilowatt as a service model? Could you mention that coming in sort of in 2023 and beyond? How will you how will you get there, and what would that look like?
Yeah. So for now, we focus in the Singapore market. And as I share, the target market is Asia and also China, right? So for us to enter this market, you see the amount of decommissioned panels. However, from our market survey, from 30 over customers, they want one company to take to look after the end of life panels, from disposal, from recycle, from transportation, logistic. So if once we enter that region, right, we can also supply the customer with new panels, with a state-of-art panels, 380 watt, 400 watt, we can do that. And this is sort of like close the loop for the solar business. So with the one-stop solution, which is linked to the kilowatt as a service, but we go into a different angle, from the recycling angle, from a decommission angle, instead of upfront installation.
Yeah, super interesting. And as I said before, so many questions, so little time, but thank you for
thank you so much.
Really useful answers.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
If there's room for one follow-up, I'd like to drop it real quick. When it comes to the dismantling of solar panels and the logistics of sending those panels to your, I believe it would be your shop, to regenerate them, does that essentially wipe away or wipe out the savings that a solar panel company could
So that's a very interesting question. Yeah, thanks for the question. Because in Singapore, transportation logistic cost is massive. We've done that, we learned that. And then for our POC application for the Enterprise Singapore is actually a scanning technology that we do regeneration on field. So to avoid the need of transportation to the factory in Tuas. Yeah. So that would be the key for this success.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Charles.
Judges, are we good?
Yeah, we're good. Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much, Stanley. And let's just give our judges a minute to finalize their scorings. Thank you so much, Stanley.
Thank you. Thank you, Nadia.
Thank you. Okay, so now we'll have the sixth speaker, Amos Teo from Feeders, to pitch on their project, We Save Lives and Electric Grid with AI. Amos, take it away.
Afternoon, judges. It's an honor for Feeders to be selected as one of the finalists. My name is Amos, CEO and co-founder of Feeders. And Feeders was founded back in October 2019 with the purpose of enabling safe, reliable, and environmental friendly energy for the community. This can happen to electric utility and our environment if inspection and maintenance of electric grid are not carried out properly. Next. It is a global issue we are facing. What you see here are two incidents that happened in Indonesia and Northern California. Such incidents also cause harm to our environment and also business activities in the community. Next. The challenge of electric utility phases are the technique being used for inspection and also the policy of maintenance. In general, inspection techniques are slow, faults discovered at late stage, not able to classify the severity of the faults, and also lack of skilled manpower. Next. So at Feeders, our solution can assist electric utilities to identify fault immediately and at early stage, with the accuracy of up to 10 meters and coverage of 8 kilometers with 2 sets of IoT sensor. And with our AI algorithm, we can classify the severity of the fault identified. Next. Our vision is to utilize Feeders AI server algorithm with various inspection methods or data to provide meaningful and actionable data to assist and enable grid operators to efficiently manage and maintain their grid to avoid disaster. Next. In grid inspection market, the cost is calculated by the length of the grid or the number of electric poles. Globally, there are more than 1 billion poles. In 2019, PG&E in Northern California spent $733 million to inspect 685,000 of their poles. If we use this cost per pole as a guide, the global total addressable market stands at more than $1 trillion per year. The service available market for us, where we are targeting China and USA, stands at $579.4 billion per year. Next. In Feeders, our business model are based on annual subscription of our AI server and monthly subscription and rental of our IoT devices, inspection account for the service provider, and our inspection equipment. This will provide an annual and monthly stream of revenue for us. Next. Next. Yeah. So far, this is our progress. Our AI server algorithm is ready at TRL level 6. We won our first asset management project for State Grid of China that is worth 1.55 million. We are now preparing to carry out our deployment test of our IoT sensor in March 2021 with our partner, who is Southern Grid subsidiary that has 18 provinces coverage in China. Next. 2021 will be a critical year for us. China will be our main focus starting from South Central region. Once that is done, our plan is to comb the whole China market with our partners within 2 years. We are looking at raising 1.5 million to fund our development and sales activities. And that is our seed round. Next. Next. In the marketplace, there are the incumbent inspection equipment and service provider, and also new kids on the block who use drone with camera and AI to carry out inspection. We are well positioned with the speed of inspection and also our AI algorithm to provide granular results on faults detected. Next. Next. Our team are made up of members from Russia, Pakistan, Singapore, and China. Combined, we have more than 16 years experience selling solution to electric grid, 15 years in software development, and 7 years in data science. We are supported with our trusted advisor, Dr. Alex Lee and Mr. Mark Wu, that bring with them great wealth of experiences in startup ecosystem and electric utilities market in China. Next. Next. We are looking for partners to jointly build a world-class organization to address the annual 1 trillion market potential. Next. Next. This is our product roadmap. It is all about data and AI, using data and AI to save life at the electric grid. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amos. Judges, over to you.
Carly, you want to start out?
Sure can. Sorry, the AI engine itself and the ultrasound devices, what sort of inputs are you taking in to make decisions, or you mentioned that there's only 2 IoT devices, so I'm not quite clear as to how exactly you're covering 200 poles all over that span
Okay.
using the
How the workflow happen is basically with the 2 sets of IoT devices, you pick up electromagnetic wave, and then with the GPS calculation, we know exactly where the partial discharge of fault is happening. And then with that, they will use the ultrasound devices, the maintenance team go down on spot to so-called scan through the 10-meter range to find out exactly where the partial discharge of fault is happening from. Yeah. And then that data will be recorded, and then will be so-called sent back to our AI to so-called study the degrading process. Yeah.
So does it require manpower to detect, or are you saying that these are devices installed directly on the power lines and they are permanent fixes or fixtures?
The IoT devices is installed near the power line, but not on the conductor. Okay, and that is 24/7 monitoring will happen. So ultrasound device will only use when fault is detected by the IoT devices. Then when the maintenance team go down to pick up the so-called find the exact spot that is happening, they use the ultrasound equipment to scan. Yeah, because the accuracy is 10 meter, but the thing is you still need to find out exactly which component of the overhead or underground part that is emitting the so-called partial discharge. Yeah.
Understand, but your string or network of IoT devices allows the utility company to decide when to send out a maintenance team rather than to do the routine checks.
Correct. So you'll be basically 24/7 monitoring instead of every 2 inspection they do per year in China right now.
Great, thank you.
Bernard?
Thanks, Amos, for the presentation. Can I understand, does this IoT sensor work for cables underground? And what you're detecting, how long is it before a catastrophic failure? Or is it you're detecting at the point of failure?
Okay, that's a good question. The underground part is something we are working on right now because the underground part, we will need to use another range of frequency because most of the underground cable is in the city. So there will be, based on underground and overhead, we have to use different frequency level, reason being because of noise disturbance. Okay, and what we do is when we detect is actually at the early stage of the so-called fault happening. So it is before things go very badly.
Anything else, Bernard?
I'm good, thanks.
Okay, so Amos, wow, quite a band you've put together. Singapore, Russia, Pakistan, China. What's the origin story? How did you guys get together?
Sorry?
How did you guys get together?
Okay, okay. Alex in Moscow and Fazer in Islamabad. In fact, how we got to know each other is in 2016 when I was working on my own. I need a software projects. In fact, I got to know them through Upwork. So we work on a project for 6-month periods. And then in early 2019, we meet up. I threw them the idea about using AI with data, inspection data to do that. So they say that it can be done. And so that's how we come together to form this company.
To you about the
sorry, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Okay, sorry, I was muted. The other question follows on the questions that were asked about the technology. Tell us a bit about your IP protection for this, because it seems quite revolutionary. And who are your competitors? Who is out there with a similar product who you would be selling against?
The IP is basically one of our secret sauce is really understanding the root of cause, because in most of the technology out there doing inspection, they are basically using ultrasound or thermography, but they forget one very key element, which is actually all this cause of defect are basically either environmental or the human being.
So in our IP basically, or AI algorithm, how we develop it is basically using the past data, including the so-called environmental factor data, to put it inside there to do the calculation. I mean, so that's our unique, or I would say our secret sauce. I mean, as for competitors, I mean, I look at them as more of potential alliances down the road, because they are either the traditional equipment manufacturer or either the inspection company. I mean, so end of the day is the way we look at it is they will be more of alliances down the road rather than competitor, because what we are doing is we're selling the AI server rather than equipment. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and I'll just sneak one more in. It sounds like the data you gave from PG&E about the number of poles they have to check. Are you looking at that market as well?
Yes, in 2023, that is where we want to go after USA market. But in fact, our initial plan is to go after the USA market. It's just that because of COVID-19, we push it back and we focus in China now. And we want USA market very much. Reason being, if you look at Asia, most of the country only have one or two electric utility company. But in USA, there are more than 2,980 electric utility, ranging from size of 20 manpower to 20,000 manpower. So if we put in any investment in USA, in fact, the return will be much more faster compared with anywhere in Asia. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Really nice presentation. Appreciated it.
If there's room for one, if there's room for one follow-up, you mentioned that there was $1 million contract that you've signed, and you also demonstrated on the P&L that the full $1 million or so is going into your revenue bucket. Are you collecting the full 100% of that contract? Is that contract exclusively for you?
Okay, that is an asset management project in Chongqing, and we did not do that project directly because we don't have an entity in China. So we got the project, actually we passed it on to a partner over there, and we're only getting a 1.5% margin out from there. But that is not the long run thing we want to do. So that is why we are switching our model, from the USA model to the China, to adapt to the local China model. Yeah.
Okay, but what you're saying is that particular contract is not typical of what you would normally close. You wouldn't take 1% of a contract.
Yep.
You would take the full contract.
Yeah, and in fact, based on our revenue forecast, our gross margin will be trading around 90%. I mean, by 2022. I mean, yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, judges. We'll give you 1 minute to finalize your scorings. Amos, thank you so much for your presentation. Okay, now let's invite our 7th presenter today, Ms. Salma Islam from Me Soulshare, to pitch on the future of energy starts with Bangladesh. Salma, please.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to Soulshare. So a little bit of an introduction to Soulshare. Soulshare was founded in 2015, and we're comprised of a leadership team with 3 German founders, our CEO, our CTO, and our CFO, our Director of Products and Business, Head of Operations, myself, and our Data Solutions Lead. So our main operations is based in Bangladesh. We have an office in Singapore, and we also have a pilot in India. So we've actually got the world covered. Why did we choose Bangladesh? So the major reasons for that is it has the highest population density in the world, the largest deployment of individual solar home systems across the globe, so nearly 6 million solar home systems, and the biggest mobile money market. Next slide, please. So what was the problem? Annually, what we found was that of these 6 million solar home systems, the amount of energy that was being lost every day was 600,000 kilowatt hours. That was a $1 billion market of energy that was not being tapped into. And that has the potential to impact a total of 35 million people. Next slide, please. So what is our solution? Essentially, in simplified terms, it's a peer-to-peer solar microgrid. And how does it work? So it's kind of like a swarm. When you connect 2 households, one with a solar home system, one without a solar home system, what that allows them to do is exchange their excess energy. So as a solar home system owner, I can sell my excess energy to my neighbor who previously did not have access to any energy whatsoever. So as the houses connect, you can connect more and more households, the grid gets larger, and it becomes a stronger and more powerful grid. And then you can add on additional services such as EV charging, productive energy use, and we also have Wi-Fi towers, which basically sends the data from our grids, that is the energy consumption and usage data, back to our backend. So essentially the entire platform, this web-based energy exchange platform, we refer to as the Soul Bazaar. So this comprised of a Soul app where all of our users are registered, and it also has the GPS locations for every household, which goes into the technical design of the grids. The Soul Web, which is where we see all the data from our peer-to-peer grids. Our customer support, our end users, as well as the Soulbox. Now, this is the most important device. This is the smart bidirectional meter, which allows our users to exchange energy. Next slide, please. So our impact, according to the SDGs, and according to SDG 7, we've served over 4,000 people across Bangladesh and India within 28 peer-to-peer microgrids. We've reduced a total of 50,000 kilograms of carbon emissions. 40% of our beneficiaries are women and children. And through the platform, our users have already earned an additional income of over $16,000. Next slide, please. And this is how we see the future of energy as being fueled by the 5 Ds: decentralization, decarbonization, democratization, digitalization, and disruption. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah, so our funding request, we are looking to raise $2.75 million in our Series B round to reach EBITDA profitability. So far, within the COVID pandemic, we were able to raise a total of $1.1 million, and right now we're looking to raise another $1.65 million, mainly to cover operational, capital, and transactional expenditures. Thank you very much. That's it.
Thank you, Salma. Can I ask a quick question? Your 16,177, I guess, is on an annual basis. Can I understand how much was the cost of the Soulbox infrastructure to enable this market?
How much is the cost of an individual Soulbox?
How much were the cost of all the Soulbox that had to be deployed in order to enable a $16,000 market?
So right now we have a total of 524 Soulboxes deployed within households and micro businesses. And for our end users, we actually subsidize this cost. So the way we work, it's in a B2B model. And we basically have grid operators to whom we sell the boxes to, and then they sell it to our end users at a subsidized rate of approximately $30, and that includes the connection fee.
And for each of these $30, how much would a typical household make in a year?
So
what's their return on investment?
So I just want to clarify that $16,000, it's just the additional income that they have earned through the sun. That's it. This isn't through their additional business earnings or any other appliances that they're running. This is simply through selling their excess energy.
Thanks.
Bernard, if I could jump in, just a quick one on the same. I want to build off this question. So if a household pays $30, there is a selling household and there's a receiving household. Mm-hmm. So you're saying that the selling household can earn how much per month?
So that varies according to the amount of energy that they are selling. So the way, so this depends literally on their own usage and how much energy. So a solar home system, an individual solar home system, has limited energy. So they can only run a few appliances. But when they're interconnected within the grid, they can buy more energy when needed, as well as sell their excess when they're not. The solar home systems in Bangladesh are actually really small. And what happens is that when it's peak sun hours, the battery is full. So what happens after that is if I have a Soulbox, I can sell off the excess instead of that going to waste. So again, this totally depends on household to household. I can sell up to, 100. So this is Bangladeshi taka, which would be around $1.5. So I can sell that much a day. I can sell more a day. It literally depends on my own usage and how much I want to sell.
And if you were to ballpark it based on your average customer usage,
so again, that's
if you were to
really,
estimate,
yeah, again, that's really hard because this varies according to the household means as well as the end user. Yeah, we've had users that have sold up to 2,000 BDT, users that have sold far less. So yeah, it completely depends on the household.
So thank you, Salma. Yeah, we're familiar with, PFAN's familiar with you because we've been working with you, and it's really super interesting technology and business model. So if I understand correctly, you have 28 peer-to-peer microgrids, which is presumably means 28 communities that have solar home systems that are connected. And across those 28 communities, there are 525 soul boxes. And one can choose to buy a soul box, and that allows you to trade, to sell. Is that correct? And then,
Yes.
yeah.
Sorry, just so the users, they're prosumers, consumers, and producers. So a prosumer is someone with a solar home system that can buy and sell. And a consumer is someone who doesn't have a solar home system and is just buying energy.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
And for someone who's a prosumer, what would be the payback on, I think that's what Charlie and Bernard were getting at. What would be the payback, for one of these boxes? What would the range be? If, they're buying it from the retailer who you sell to.
Yeah.
How would that work?
So basically, they can make up their money within as little as 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
their investment.
okay. And then do you have other, competitors? I mean, there's just tons of solar home systems all over Bangladesh, in fact, all over Asia and all over the world. Are there competitors with similar IP who can do the same thing?
Actually, I think the thing that makes SoulShare so unique is that our users can earn an income directly from the sun. There's nobody else that does exactly what we do, not in Bangladesh and not globally. I mean, you have larger companies like PowerLedger and LO3, but they're far, far more expensive. They're not interested in very off-grid, remote, rural communities. And then you have companies like Okra, which has very similar technology, but again, their meter is not bidirectional, so it doesn't allow for that energy exchange.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then the 2.75 million, you said that's your sort of expenses, and you're trying to raise another sort of 1.65 million. What time period is this for? Is this for like a 2-year time period?
This is until 2023. Yeah. So, but the current round we're looking to close by early next year. So the 2.7, I mean, we've already raised 1.1, but the 2.75 million, like the 1.65, we'd like to finish raising by early next year.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciated it.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Pete, sorry, could I just ask another question before someone, please? You mentioned that the Soulbox is subsidized. Can I understand who subsidizes it and what is the business model of the subsidy?
So basically, the way it works is that we get a lot of grants from donor organizations, and that allows us to subsidize technology to our grid operator, and usually our grid operator, our partner organization. So we work with a lot of companies who were basically the original deployers of the solar home systems because they have access to the communities, they have that field experience, and they actually know where we can go and actually install our microgrids. So we subsidize it to them, and they subsidize it to the community. Usually they're NGOs. So.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Salma. Thank you so much for your presentation. All right. So now we have Miss Diana Islamova from Onda to pitch on her project, Platform for Settlements and Billing Among the Energy Sector Participants. Diana, please.
Thank you, Nadia. Hello, everyone. It's great to be online. My name is Diana, and I'm glad to present you Onder. Onder is a blockchain-based platform for settlements and billing among the energy sector participants. Next slide, please. We develop solution for this sector because we understand its features due to our more than 10 years experience in the energy business consulting. Next slide. We started with problems that exist in countries with developing energy system like Russia and countries of BRICS, where there is a consistent cash flow from consumer to supply chain, and grid companies want to decide problem of large receivables. Next slide. Under idea is to exclude middlemen and to split cash from consumer to all participants in the supply chain at the time of payment. We have implemented Onder platform with such meter-to-cash solution for one big grid company in Russia on a commercial basis in 2019, and it gave benefit to this company in a form of receivables reduction about 15 to 20%, and benefit to consumer in the form of energy cost reduction. Next slide, please. Our platform can be integrated with any metering infrastructure. Distributed ledger provides immutability of consumption data, and smart contracts allow to conduct trusted online payments without intermediaries. On the basis of these two core technologies, we understood that it becomes possible to implement a variety energy services for a distributed energy system. Next slide. And we did it. We have implemented different services within several commercial and research projects in the last 2 years. We developed demand response service for a big energy retailer. We experimented with peer-to-peer trading in microgrid within rates on Semakau landfill in Singapore. And we developed blockchain-based green rec registry for Russian government. Next slide, please. This allowed us to earn about almost 400,000 in 2019 and to scale up in 2020. Market of blockchain applications in the energy sector is constantly growing, and we estimate our serviceable obtainable market share at $250 million. Our targeted clients, grid companies, energy retailers, local energy market operators. Next slide. Next slide, please. Comparing to our competitors, Onder provide high-speed and low-cost transactions because of layer 2 blockchain technology, so-called state and depth channels. Onder can be integrated with any metering system, and Onder doesn't have its own tokens, what makes it viable in any country. Next slide, please. Our next step, and in the future, we see Onder as a part of a complex architecture. That's why we applied for a grant in Jurong Island in Singapore. And we understand that in this architecture should allow to manage local energy market. And besides our market trading platform, it should include artificial intelligence bots for exchange of control actions between power equipment. And also it should include energy storages. So we are open to partnerships in these areas, and I believe that together we are going to succeed in disrupting energy sector. Thank you for attention. Let's move it together.
Thank you, Diana. So now we're opening the floor to the judges for Q&A.
Charlie, you want to start?
Yeah, I can start. So my interpretation of your solution is that you are able to enable a lot of companies to do peer-to-peer trading and um, and the like of that type of business model. Am I correct to first interpret it that way before I lead into my question?
Uh, yes, to make it clear, we have a platform that consists of technical core based on blockchain and based on smart contracts. And we provide different energy services, and peer-to-peer trading within microgrid is one of these services.
It's one of those. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, we
Okay.
have
It's more
demand
clearinghouse.
Yeah. It's
Right.
it's one of business cases, and we have three more. It is demand response, green registry, and also meter to cash solution.
Okay. So my question is specific to the projects you've done compared to the new projects up and coming. How similar or dissimilar are the next 6 projects to the last 3 that you conducted this year?
How similar?
Or dissimilar are the next 6 projects? What I'm trying to understand is whether your solution requires a lot of customization for individual clients' needs, or is it something that is very much turnkey solution?
Um, I think that our projects that we had this year, they are more similar. They are more simple for us because our first project, it was a pilot project where we have tested our solution, how we can integrate with smart meters and so on. So we tested different variants and we choose the best. That's why our next projects, they were in some cases they were easier because we understood technical part, but it was different in business model. So we can't compare it in one way.
Okay.
Diana, can I understand what is the energy, the power overheads to run these distributed blockchains, and is it significant?
Excuse me, one more time.
What are the computational and power overheads to run these distributed blockchains on this scale?
I think that
is it significant?
Yeah, I think that for distributed energy system that are emerging now in developing countries, it's a beneficial solution for peer-to-peer trading and for other distributed cases, because it gave benefits in transactions between participants, and it allowed to make it had low transaction cost. I think that when the system is distributed, is the key element is trusted environment, trusted in consumption data, and trusted in the algorithm that we use to between different parties. So when everybody trusts these two elements, it is much more easier to conduct transactions between parties.
Okay. So I have a couple of questions, if I could. Let's see. First is, you started out by showing how your smart contracts and distributed ledger will reduce the grid co-receivables.
Yeah.
I assume that's from more efficient processing and more timely payments. Is that correct?
Yeah, we started with the problem that exists in Russia and the countries, the same countries of former Soviet Union and countries of BRICS. And it's a real problem because grid companies are at the end of supply chain and they have problem of large receivables.
Okay, and then how do the customers, and as part of that, you said the customers have lower costs. Why are their costs lower?
Because we exclude intermediaries in this
I see.
process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Then my next question is, you have these four sort of products: meter to cash, P2P, DR, and green REC registry. What do you see as the sort of that? I mean, you're trying to do a lot of things. Which is going to be the killer app? Which is going to generate the most revenue for you, at least in the next couple of years?
I think that it depends on the market where we implement our solution. So we think that meter to cash solution with smart contracts, where the targeted clients are grid companies, it is a beneficial case for Russia and other countries, and we understand that it will generate a large revenue for us. But also, we are looking for such countries like Singapore and more developed countries with more distributed energy system. And we understand that the future is here. And our revenue for the nearest 2 years is little here, but we are ready to make R&D projects for the nearest 2 years. But then we believe that this sector and this market, it will grow, and our revenue will be much more bigger in these areas.
Yeah. Okay. Any follow-up questions from Charlie or Bernard?
I'm okay, thanks.
Okay, great.
That's
Thanks,
it. Thanks.
judges. Thanks, judges.
Thank you very much.
On to our next speaker, we have Emir Nurov from Resync Technologies to pitch on energy intelligence using big data. Emir, please.
Sure. Hi. Thanks a lot for having me. My name is Amir. I'm CEO and co-founder of Resync, Singapore-based company started 3 years ago. What we do at Resync, we provide AI intelligence-driven energy cloud platform for enterprises. Next. As you know, the whole energy infrastructure is going through a drastic transformation, and this transformation is mainly driven by 4 pillars. Of course, drastically dropping price of renewables like solar, wind energy, high adoption of energy storage systems like batteries, electric vehicles, digitalization of the whole ecosystem with internet access almost everywhere, with 5G coming in, with IoT devices, and of course, adoption of AI machine learning models for the automation purposes. Next. And at the heart of this transformation is data. Everyone who is using the data can do a lot of different things with it. And especially for the systems and enterprises, they can save up to 30% of their energy consumption. Next. What are the current challenges that in the market? Of course, a lot of companies collect or do not collect at all their data, but whatever data that they're collecting may not be very reliable and it's not interconnected between each other. There's a lot of energy wastage that's happening on the system level. And whenever customers want to do any kind of retrofits, they usually do it in an ad hoc situation whenever the issue is already caused, but they can't do a lot of degradation prediction or predictive maintenance analysis on the fly. And of course, not all the companies having real-time reporting in terms of the alarms, maintenance, in terms of the performance of their system. Next. And that's the reason why they choose Resync, because we provide cutting-edge technology, which is enhanced with machine learning models, which are developed in-house. We provide fully affordable and scalable solution, which can be used by the SMEs, but at the same time MNCs. Our data aggregation, data processing, and data visualization part is fully encrypted, so we have fully reliable system and fully secured. We are cloud-based. In fact, during the COVID, we deployed our solution fully remotely without any manpower interaction. With 3 of our customers overseas. And cloud-based makes it quite agnostic to the market, and we can customize our solution depending on the customer needs, so it's quite flexible in that sense. Next. Quick overview of our solution, what we do. We have customers from different domains. We work with smart building solution. We have IoT owners, IoT asset owners, and of course, solar and wind companies that they basically installing. We provide hardware and software combinations. Our hardware using standard industrial communication protocol, aggregating all the real-time data, running it through the edge computing, takes real-time control action. And all the aggregated data is sent to the cloud, and on cloud, we run it through machine learning optimization in order to understand what's happening on the side and then feeding it to the customer in a very nice user interface. Next. We work with various domains. So we started with renewable asset owners 3 years ago. Then we expanded our vertical to smart building solutions. In fact, we received a grant by EMA. I'll share a bit later about it. And then we had strategic investor where we basically expand our solution to telecom tower operations, where we do management of the batteries in combination with the telecom towers. We did a pilot run with Nissan in Norway for EV and mobility, but we feel the market is a bit too early. And we have some microgrids that we're managing in the market, in a region. We're doing VPP with them. This is just an overview of our renewable asset management system. We have a portfolio of around 600 megawatt capacity, 20 customers distributed across 7 countries, mainly in Asia Pacific. We process millions and millions of data. What we do, we basically aggregate various data, as I said. We showcase the summary of the entire portfolio, and then they can dive deep into the specific site and analyze not specific asset, but they can see all their asset and they can break down and dive deep into the specific asset. Next. We provide them with predictive maintenance and ticketing systems. So it's not just a visualization, it's basically fully in-depth analysis. We dive into the component level details. We can do MPPT, string level analysis, IV curve details. We provide them the forecasting where we use real-time data from the site and third-party APIs. And then we provide to the customer customized report depending on their selection without any human interaction. So it's a very, very comprehensive report, which is done automatically by our software. Next. As I said, we provide a combination of software and hardware, but of course, software is a main solution of FreeSync, and hardware is a complementary part because not a lot of customers have centralized master gateways, but we can integrate any third-party hardware. So we work with Huawei, Delta, ABB, Schneider Electric, you name it, basically all tier 1 hardware manufacturers. And if the customer requires end-to-end solution, we can provide them hardware plus software combination as well. Next. Of course, smart buildings, that's what we're mainly focusing on Singapore market, where we help customers to onboard their buildings on our platform and then do the digital twins and analyze what is the performance up to the plug level analysis. We do non-intrusive load monitoring for them and etc. And then we try to help them to optimize the performance using our hardware or any third-party hardware. Next. We usually charge one-time cost, which is basically integration, and for our platform, we charge annual subscription. We are fully B2B. We work mainly with enterprises. These are some of the customers that are in our portfolio. I think some of the familiar names as well in the market. Next. We are a fully techie team. So myself, I used to work with renewables companies. I worked for REC Solar for 4 years as a new product and R&D engineer. My co-founder did her PhD specifically focusing on developing control groups for engine power systems. We started off from Entrepreneur First, which is a London-based accelerator, and then got support from HG Innovate and went through a couple rounds of investments down the road. And this is fully techie team, mainly focusing on software engineering, firmware integration, and IT integration. Thanks. Yeah, I think that's all. Thanks a lot. Feel free to ask
Thank you,
any
Emir.
questions if you have. Yeah. We'll be happy to share.
Judges can proceed to ask your questions.
Thanks. Thanks, Emir. The 5 areas that you play in: renewable assets, smart buildings, telecoms, EV mobility, and microgrids, which one is the most developed in terms of your product? And who are your competitors? And why are you better than them?
Sure. So we started with renewable energy asset management because that's where the prior knowledge of the founders is coming from. And we knew that 3 years ago, that was the market, and especially countries like India, there was a lot of booming solar industry coming in. And when basically there was a need for this solution. So we started with that vertical and we dived quite horizontally into the specific solution. So we have in-depth analysis of the, as I said, MPPT, not just inverter level, but we dive into the MPPT string level analysis. We do IV curve, which is not done by the inverters and etc. So that sector, I would say, is most developed. But then we added, because we know that the margins within the solar and renewable asset business is quite small. So we added a vertical, which is smart buildings. We know that this is where the industry moving towards. And of course, looking 3 years, 5 years down the road, we know that they're going to adopt renewables, they're going to adopt batteries, they're going to have distributed energy assets, and that's basically complements our renewable asset business.
Just building off Bernard's question was related to the competitors in the market.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot about it. So our platform is all-in-one platform. So of course, since we are focusing on different domains, for example, in solar, we have companies like QoS, for example. This is very popular in Asia Pacific countries. They're mainly focusing on the solar assets. Then for the smart building solutions, there are a lot of different companies which are playing with the BMS solution. But what we do is basically, compared to QoS, we provide end-to-end solution, and the importance of the EMS for the renewables is not just to visualize the graph. It's a matter of how to handle that amount of data. Because from individual side, we get around 70 to 80,000 data points. And the backend architecture, how to process the data, how to store the data, how to make it cost efficient for the customer. That's the main challenge. And of course, the machine learning models that we provide to the customer, basically how much useful it is. So we are quite confident, and we see the customers switching from our competitors, for example, in Indian market and in Thai market, to Resync solution. And that's why when we got that confidence, we decided to expand vertically. And that's where we attracted new investments and started to expand to smart buildings and telecom solution. In telecom, of course, there are different competitors. In smart buildings, there are different competitors. But we feel that smart buildings is quite early stage, and there's a lot of development happening in this space. So we are quite confident with our solution, and we are competent enough to be competitive in this market. Yeah.
From an underlying motivation for a lot of these companies to adopt your solution, are you creating a certain bottom line savings?
Of course, definitely. So, I mean, in order to attract the customer, it has to be immediate savings for them, right? So they don't really fall in terms of like, I help you to reduce your manpower, and et cetera, et cetera. So we provide them immediate savings in terms of the monthly electricity bills. For example, if it's a smart building solution, if it's a renewable asset owner, we showcase to them, okay, either if they're connected to diesel, or their grid need export, or their synchronization between different energy assets, and etc. So we provide immediate savings for them, but then as an add-on, we provide, okay, you can do forecasting, so you can do your energy meeting for 24 hours ahead. We help you to reduce your facility management because timing, because we have a facility management tool. We help you to do predictive maintenance and etc. So then it goes as an add-on, and that attracts the customers.
Okay, and ballpark please keep your answer short on this one. Ballpark from a performance standpoint, how much? What is the average?
It varies between 10% to 25%, depending on a customer system.
Realized immediately.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So thank you, Namir. What's the revenue you get from the asset management you're doing on the 600 megawatts of plants currently?
So 600 megawatt plants is distributed, because we are a B2B company, distributed across different customers. So some customers are very small EPCs, and some customers are quite big power plants operators. So we usually target the customer with an annual expected revenue of around 25K and above. So that's the minimum that we are focusing on the customers. And the revenues, I can't share exact numbers, but we have quite decent revenue because we went through 2 rounds. We raised pre-Series A round, and now we are targeting Series A in the middle of next year.
You're going for a Series A in the middle of next year.
Yeah, we just raised. I mean, we raised just before the pandemic, pre-Series A round.
Oh, pre-Series A. Okay. And where are you active now? You said 7 countries.
Yeah.
You mentioned Thailand in your presentation. Which countries are you active in?
Yeah, we're based in Singapore. Full team is based in Singapore, but we're active in India, Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand, Japan, Singapore, and Malaysia.
Thanks, Amir.
Thank you.
All right, so next up, we have Ms. Catherine Khan, our 10th presenter from Rovilus, to teach on smart, sustainable batteries to power a circular economy. Catherine, over to you.
Thank you, Nadia. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Catherine, co-founder and CEO of Rovilus. Next page, please. So we are a Singapore company revolutionizing the clean energy industry by creating smart, sustainable batteries to enable a circular economy. Next page, please. So batteries that are used to power vehicles are typically designed for a single purpose only. For example, the marine vessels where batteries are tailored for their usage, and these batteries will be disposed of when they are no longer able to meet the power demand of the vessels, even when they have about good 70 to 80% capacity left in them. So this leads to significant battery waste of approximately $115 billion. The cost of repurposing and recycling these batteries are also higher than disposal due to the design of the battery. So without data as to how the battery has been used previously, repurposing batteries could be as expensive as buying a new battery, making recycling a less cost-effective option. Next page, please. At Robles, we have designed a multi-purpose, plug-and-play smart battery solution. The design of our battery is modular and stackable, which allows it to fit into vehicles as small as a motorcycle to as large as a marine vessel. Our AI system monitors the state of health of each battery and determine when to swap them out for a particular application. So for example, we will track the state of health of the batteries that are used in the vessels, and when there's a decline in the performance, we'll take them back to our service center, and based on the residual lifetime performance of the battery, we'll allocate it to a suitable lower power application for the batteries to be used safely. So a battery that's been swapped out from a marine vessel may be used to power motorcycles, for example, which could enjoy optimal performance given that it has less power requirements. Next page, please. The key to allowing our batteries to be used for multiple applications from high to low power while ensuring lifetime lies with our thermal management system. So we have a proprietary fire-suppressing thermal management material which extracts heat from the batteries during high power application. Compared to Tesla's and other on-market solutions, our system is up to 4 times more efficient in managing temperature rise, which significantly improves lifetime, and on top of the fire-suppressing benefit as well. Next page, please. Our AI model serves as the most important missing piece in building accurate battery lifetime predictive model. So by using our standardized battery as a uniform platform to collect battery data, we're able to address range anxiety issues, predict maintenance needs, and reduce battery repurposing costs across all applications. Next page, please. Our battery as a service model consists of a monthly rental fee and servicing and maintenance fees. This model works as we're able to effectively repurpose the batteries from high to low power and extract the residual value of the high power batteries for lower power applications. Next page, please. Our initial go-to-market is to target the marine space. The recent IM 2020 has pushed for greener solutions to power marine vessels. And up to 15% of EU's maritime emissions actually come from vessel types which are already suitable for fully electrified alternatives. And we are targeting these smaller vessels in isolated islands and port scenarios where our battery modules are able to serve multiple applications and lower upfront investments for operators. Next page, please. The total available market size in 2020 in this market is $136 billion with a CAGR of 37%. And this market is growing fast, and we have received customer inquiry for approximately 1,000 units from a US distributor in the next 2 to 3 years. Next page, please. Our batteries have been tested and proven on our customers' application in the high power space. We're also currently working on a few projects in Singapore, including projects with the NTU. With the MOUs that we have signed so far with our customers, we're projecting a pipeline of 35,000 units of our battery modules in the next 2 to 3 years. Next page, please. We're currently seeking 1.5 million on a 10 million pre-money valuation, which will give us a runway of 18 months to develop our AI system. We've previously been invested by 500 startups and completed our product development in the hardware space. Next page, please. So with the funding available, we're projecting to hit $1 million of sales in 2021 and launch our business model in 2022 and being EBITDA positive by 2023. Next page, please. Our team consists of myself, I'm an IP attorney in my previous life, and our CTO, Gigi, who has over 10 years of experience in high-power EV space. Our CFO led the first energy finance team in Taiwan and is well connected in the energy storage system space. Our advisors are veterans in this space, being ex-CEOs of large NMC companies. Next page, please. Next page, please. So thank you all for listening, and I hope you'll join us on the mission to disrupt the battery industry by turning battery waste into smart, sustainable, cost-effective batteries to power all applications.
Thank you, Catherine. All right, judges can proceed to ask your questions.
Thanks, Catherine, for the presentation. I noticed on one of your slides you mentioned battery as a service will begin in 2022. So am I to assume that until that point, you will only be selling batteries?
That's correct. So currently we're doing direct sales right now.
Okay. And you've mentioned that your target is vessels first, so marine industry. would that be in the highest level of usage, or is that the middle tier with the where you've used the image of the forklift?
Right. So typically the marine vessels fall within the higher power application, although it really depends because within an application, they may have different power ratings available.
Okay. So if it's vessels first, then the next step after vessels are likely to be the forklifts at the port?
The utility vehicles, the side-by-side vehicles at the ports, yeah.
Okay. And then the last rung on the ladder would be the mopeds and...
Yeah, energy storage systems, those that do not require high discharge rates, high power ratings. Those would be the ones that lies in the lowest level.
So my major question or concern is how perfect of an environment does it have to be for you to secure the right client? Because my assumption is in a port or maritime application, you can sell to the boats, and that's great, and that'll solve the first bit. But as the ports are electrifying, likely at the same time that as they're electrifying their fleet, does that mean that you miss the opportunity to also sell batteries for their forklifts as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So you're talking about if we sell directly to the first tier, the high power applications, do we miss the opportunity to tap into the lower power applications? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm concerned about customer acquisition and timing acquiring that customer to ensure that the entire circular economy works.
Mm-hmm. So for a battery, for the circular economy to work, it definitely has to come from the higher power application to lower power application. Even if we start from the forklift, for example, we can circle that around within the forklift or just starting from middle to lower power application, that's fine too. The issue is to start something from a higher power to a lower power, and we can just stretch out the time that we use for the middle tier. And depending on, say, for example, initially it's meant for 5 years, we'll stretch out to 7 years on a leasing model, and to be able to collect enough data points for us to build the model, and at the same time recycle it to a lower power application thereafter.
Okay, and just to follow up on that, and it's a quick one, what are the ideal conditions that you need for that customer or client to quickly onboard your battery as a service solution?
Ideal operating conditions would be a customer that starts off from a high power application. So currently that's where our go-to-market strategy is. We are focusing on the high power application guys. And in terms of whether do they have lower power application, that's something that is not a requirement. So we can take that back to our service center because we would ideally want to operate from a distributor model. So we'll partner with distributors who will then distribute that to lower power applications once the reused module is taken back to our center.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
Catherine, can I understand, besides having a AI module which monitors how the battery was used during the high power application stage, is there not any industrial test that can be done to assess batteries which you get from elsewhere? And how do you compete against companies that do that? Because they have a much larger supply of batteries that they can tap on. And it's a more universal solution rather than something that is tied only to the batteries that you sold.
Absolutely, thanks for that. So a repurposed, a used battery, we can definitely send it to testing centers to do that, to do the testing to determine the residual lifetime. This is actually the main bulk of cost for repurposing. So a lot of the reason why repurposing is not cost effective right now is because of the testing cost that's involved and labor cost that's involved at that stage. So we're actually addressing that problem by using a standardized platform to collect the battery, to collect the data. And because we are doing that on a leasing model, we have ownership over all that data rights. So we actually lower down the cost of repurposing by doing so.
Any plans to push this technology as an industrial standard? Because then it creates a much bigger market for secondhand batteries.
Thanks for that. So in terms of using the battery itself as an industrial standard, to be honest,
not so much the battery, sorry.
Oh, okay.
The monitoring of
the monitoring standard, yeah, right. The software aspect, sure. So that is something that we are using, not as a standard though, but we are building off that. and we'll add in different types of battery chemistries. Thereafter, once we have an accurate enough model, we'll change the cell types that we're using with other types of chemistries, etc., and simulate that progress and simulate that performance using the AI model. So the model itself will eventually be able to allow different battery owners to tap into, and instead of just using ours, if that makes sense.
So Catherine, I have a question. Thank you for your presentation. Could you explain the statement that you're the world's first company combining hardware and AI to fully utilize battery value? Could you explain that statement? Why has nobody else done this?
Right. So to be fair, there are people doing that. And we are doing that across all applications. So we're not just targeting, for example, Neo EV. They have gone into it. And for them, they are doing passenger EVs and recycle it into energy storage system. Tesla is doing something similar as well. They have the passenger EVs and they repurpose that and they put it into an energy storage system. We are actually tapping into the non-passenger EV market, where it's 2/3 of the world's vehicles actually make up of that. And the utility vehicles, the marine vessels, we're using a standardized platform to tap into those markets and allow them to go electric at the same time, also repurpose their usage for lower power applications. So we're basically going to a market that people are not tapping into. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay, and could you describe the IP and patents that you have and how protected they are?
Right, so we have patents over the thermal management system design of the battery itself. As for the material, that's something that we hold in terms of trade secret.
Just a quick question. How do you when people purchase batteries, right? They purchase it based on the price per megawatt hour. They should make the decision based on the number of life cycles that they can get out of the battery, not from the perspective of the second life potential of the battery. At least I don't think so, right? How are you on the other metrics compared to your competitors?
Right.
In terms of the price,
Yeah, thanks for that. So in terms of direct sales, our pricing is competitive with our competitors. And because we tap into this high power application, actually we're dealing with a lot of people who can't find solutions to allow them to go electric. So a case in point is our client in Taiwan. They are dealing with containerized energy storage system for automatic frequency control to the grid. That requires a discharge rate to fully discharge the battery in 30 minutes. And they have to go to something which discharge twice as fast, which means there'll be a lot of significant power buildup and heat buildup. So they came to us and say, hey, we need your solution to enable that electrification process. So that's how we come into play. In terms of we tap into the high power application, we are actually an enabler in that space for our customers to be able to go into applications they previously couldn't. And our price point on that side is also competitive in the market. So a lot of our customers are looking for, instead of buying batteries and just based on the battery manufacturer's kind of claim that this will last for X number of years and on X number of cycles, this leasing model actually takes the burden for them to maintain, etc., off them. So this is one of the key benefits that a lot of customers' feedback is this is something that they've been looking for a while in the market.
Sorry, last one. I'll be quick if that's okay.
Go ahead.
Related to the pack itself, how turnkey of a solution is it, or is there still a level of customization that needs to be done?
So at the customer site, it's pretty much a plug and play system. Where we work with distributors, our distributors will need to put that into a pack. So depending on what they're looking for, say for example, they're looking for two modules in a pack, then they have to do that at a system integration level.
But that's not dealt with your team.
Yeah, so if we're located in a particular region, then we'll do that ourselves. If we're not, say for example in the US, we work with distributors to work on that.
Okay, and when it comes to different packs, there is a high level of customization that's required.
No, not necessarily. So what we do is because we have the data, it's basically depending on what kind of sizes they want. That's the kind of customization they need. They don't need to do anything at the module level per se.
And which countries are you actively selling to or marketing to?
Right now, in the US, we go through a distributor model. And we are focusing mostly in the Asian region, in Taiwan and Singapore.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Catherine.
Thank you.
Alrighty. So next up, we have Ayman Keder from Solera to pitch on the project titled Sun Square, Rural Electrification and Infrastructure. Ayman, please.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity, and I really hope it could bring new chances for all. Next slide, please. I'll explain Solera project, which we call Sun Square, currently started in Zambia, and we have a lot of plans to expand more and more in the future. Here in the slide, not yet, please. Here in the slide, we see a challenge that we all know. It's electrifying rural Africa. We see electrification as one major problem that can take people really out of life. And we see a lot have tried before to solve that. And always the problem was the sustainability of the system they are providing. Next, please. We have created the idea of Sun Square based on that. We decided to do a holistic infrastructure that is taking the rural population from low-income people to medium-income people. Actually, we consider Sun Square not only an infrastructure, it's a community hub where we are making any and all kind of services accessible and possible in the rural areas. We have been working hardly on the ground during last year, whether by running the services by ourselves through local candidates, hiring local candidates, or approaching local service providers in Zambia to make sure we keep the operation inside the Sun Square sustainable as much as we can. I can say that the Sun Square is supporting people to create or improve their own businesses through selling affordable electricity compared to the diesel cost they are using, partnering with microfinance companies in local microfinance companies to release microloans to small entrepreneurs or to boost existing businesses for clients. We are providing as well in the Sun Square medical services that were never available in the rural. Inside the Sun Square, we are performing primary healthcare and prenatal services, which is really helping in increasing the people awareness and decreasing the mortality rates. We are providing retail shops and selling frozen foods. We are ready to provide e-learning services, agro shop and agro processing. And one of the most important is the digitalization of services as well through some partnerships we did on the ground. And this is done through availability of digital banking and digital money services. All these services are paid by the community, but the most important part is that cost of services are very carefully calculated against all direct and indirect costs the community usually pay to receive such service, which is again, we see supporting the sustainability of the Sun Square. Next, please. This is a brief about our presence, this and next slide, our presence in the country. Our team that is mainly based on finding right calibers and powering the local people. As well, next please. As well, it shows some here of our local partners who had the interest to expand their services in the rural, which shows how Sun Square in 1 year became very beneficial and very interesting for the partners to expand the services and be part of it. Next, please. We have deployed 10 sites. We have 9 of them are fully operational now in different villages. And we all from this slide can see how the Sun Square has affected positively lives of more than 30,000 people just in 1 year. On the left, you can see some of those numbers we have achieved. Next, please. It is showing how we are generating the revenues and how the revenues are increasing with the time, and how we started with very low income revenues and how we have deployed and activated all the sites in the best way we can to increase the revenues on monthly basis. Next, please. We have each site now that is generating an average of $700 per month, which is a perfect result for us in 1 year that started with revenues about $60 or $70 per month. Now we have reached 700 average per site. Next, please. We have a plan to keep this up. And as anything new, people were very preservative in the start. Now we want the confidence, we have successful footprint, and we are ready to go deeper. And we keep the hope to support more people and change more lives in the best positive way, as you can see here. And next slide, please. At the end, I hope you find in our Innovation Sun Square an opportunity that we can use to do more together. Thank you.
Thank you. I might now the judges will take the Q&A.
Sure.
To what extent?
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Just a quick question. To what extent does the scalability of the solution require support from NGOs, or is it totally commercially driven?
I'll tell you. In general, as I just explained, that the Sun Square is providing a lot of services. It's a community hub. We consider it's a community hub where we want to provide most possible services inside. So from the NGOs, we have usually the NGOs in different fields, they have programs. And the main problem is to reach the people. Now, we have the people and we are reaching in each village, because Zambia, one village is, yes, it has a population of around 2,000 to 3,000 people, but it's usually supporting or it's catchment village for neighbor villages that is supporting more than 6,000 people. So we have the medical services, but the people in the rural, they really need awareness. And the NGOs like the WHO or any NGO that is related to medical, they can use our presence there and all our preparation for the site. And as well, the e-learning centers, yes, we have the preparation, but we are not expertise in this to aware the people, do the awareness, and let them know the importance of the of learning medical, the sanitation program. We are providing toilets in all the Sun Squares and with a huge sanitation program. So we need mainly the awareness of the NGOs to support us in that. And of course, we have the place and all the resources they can use to make these programs very beneficial for the community.
If I can fire away a few questions. For your business, what is the payback period on, or the estimated payback period on a single a single structure?
Okay, per one Sun Square, our plan is if we can reach to a revenue of $2,000 per month per site, this can make a revenue of our investment in 3 years per site.
3 years.
Yeah.
Per site. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I had one last one. And what about for the community itself? I believe that this structure itself is generating bunch of micro entrepreneurs that are building businesses around the fact that they now have accessible electricity. So what sort of impacts are you having on the community?
Sorry, what?
What sort of impact are you having on the community in terms of revenues that the community is generating as well?
Okay. Yeah, actually, we have really made a change. We see that we have really made a change, and this is very clear on the numbers. Because even when we started, the people, we decided to go for the productive use of energy. We didn't want to start by doing some electricity connections to houses. So what we see impact is the people now, they have increased their revenues, and they started to create new jobs. that they started to create new ideas, and we make it possible through microfinance as well. We have all the options to make all of this possible and implemented on the ground. So the impact we have a great impact. We are hiring people from local community. We when we hire them, we give them a very detailed training on the technical part, because in each system, in each Sun Square, we have our IoT system that we can follow it up from our head office in Egypt. So we train technical people on how to handle the preventive maintenance of the system, and this has had a great impact. We have we hire people to run all the retailers and the activities that health. We have a health shop. We have a retail, as I explained. We have agro shop. So all of this has a great impact, and as well, we are trying as always to follow some gender equality inside the community through as well some partnerships, like in the slide we have a partnership with Coca-Cola here in Zambia. They have this program of gender equality. They come and join our Sun Square under one condition, that we hire one good woman and we train her on how to handle this business.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so so if I understand this correctly, I mean, this is, super interesting model. Your approach to a mini grid is basically you set up this hub, this Sun Square, which is a mini grid, and it attracts businesses who want to come and buy power and do what they want to do. And then you have some social functions as well, like education, et cetera. You mentioned, I think Charlie asked what the payback was. You said at $2,000 per unit per month, it would be a 3-year payback. Right now, you have $700 per unit per month, so that would be, much longer payback. Are these and you gave a tariff of $1.10 per kilowatt hour. Is this subsidized right now? The price you're selling the electricity at?
Is it what? Sorry, I lost the last part.
Is it subsidized, or is that the actual cost of production, your tariff of $1.1 per kilowatt hour?
Yes, it is now stable. Actually, it depends, because we are now within in each Sun Square we have this list of services and the list of and the number of connections we are doing. Till the moment, we didn't reach the maximum to fill all the slots we have, whether from the electricity or from the entrepreneur spaces or the retail shops we are doing, where the exchange rate as well, the kwacha to the dollar, is changing. So we are still trying to manage, because we cannot, in the rural, we cannot increase the electricity just because the exchange rate has changed. So we're trying to handle that, but based on $1 per 1 kilowatt, it's kind of yes now.
Okay, that's great. I think we're out of time, but thank you for handling all of our questions and for your presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ayman.
Thank you, Nadia. Thank you for all.
No problems. All right, so the judges will finalize their scorings now. Thank you, Ayman.
Thank you, Nadia.
All right, so it's up to the last presenter. May I invite Ishan Gupta from Victi to pitch on real-time AI-based early detection software for pipeline anomaly detection and localization. Ishan, take it away.
5.6 million kilometers. That's the size of city gas pipeline network globally. Now, these pipelines, due to corrosion, third-party interference, or natural disaster, may result into leaks. And if these leaks goes unchecked, they may result into a catastrophe. Next slide. So the very ground that you might be sitting or standing on might be leaking, and the utilities themselves, they don't know about it. This is the heat map of gas leakages in Boston City. It is estimated that Boston loses approximately 3% of its natural gas via these leakages, whereas the number should be more than 0.5%. Next slide. So because of these leakages, utilities globally, and in particular in the US, are losing millions of dollars on an annual basis. The main constituent is methane, which is 82 times more potent than carbon dioxide causing global warming, and it's highly inflammable. And the governments globally understand this problem, and they have rules to reduce methane emissions. Next slide. So the problem is that the current sensor technologies that are deployed to identify these leakages and requires manually setting up the above and the lower threshold limit, as you can see in the graph on the left-hand side. But most of the time, the leakages pattern is hidden within the sensor data itself. It is not until months later when these leakages becomes catastrophically big, as you can see on the right-hand side, that's when the sensor shows a huge dip, and they identify that it's a leak. But by that time, months and years have been wasted. As utilities still needs to rely on inefficient manual surveillance technique. Next slide. This is where Victi comes in. We have developed an AI-based early detection software solution that helps utilities to identify these anomalies, localize them, and predict network status all from a single dashboard. This helps utilities to change their approach from being reactive to being more proactive. This further helps them in complying with government policies, save billions of dollars worth of gas costs and catastrophic costs, and has potential to reduce man-hours wastage. With this, our goal is to automate the task of pipeline surveillance. Next slide. Victi is sensor agnostic. That is, we work with existing infrastructure in the pipeline network. We have built models which are deployed in the cloud or local servers. And when we receive data from the pipeline network, any anomaly detected is displayed at the control room along with the location of the anomaly. Next slide. We have 3 steps approach towards reaching 100% automation of pipeline surveillance. Version 1 is to monitor amount of and account for gas losses in the network. Version 2 is semi-automation, identifying of the anomalies and understanding their region. Version 3 is to classify those anomalies and pinpointing the leak location in the pipeline. Next slide. We have 4 years of research experience working with Energy Market Authority and Singapore Group, and we launched Victi as a startup in September 2019. Next slide. So our vision is to become the brain of the pipeline network monitoring, where Victi will build models and will piggyback those models with system integrators globally. In turn, system integrators provides a one-stop comprehensive solution to their final clients. We are starting off from gas distribution pipeline network, but we have plans to scale up to water, steam, crude oil, and even hydrogen in the future. Next slide. Based on the global market size, the software deployed for city gas pipeline network is approximately 7.5 billion globally. In US alone, is $2.7 billion worth of market size. So we are looking at capturing even a 3% market size to give us a revenue of $80 million. Next slide. Victi lies in a low pressure 2 kPa existing underground infrastructure, whereas most of our competitors are in a high pressure above ground or fiber-based optic system, which are 10 times more expensive and tedious to be maintained. Next slide. We're going to charge our clients a set of fee and a subscription fee or a percentage of gas loss based on the scope of work that we're working with them. Next slide. We have so far received $2 million worth of money in the form of grants to build this technology. And since Victi formation in September, we have received $100,000 worth of equity investment to scale this technology commercially globally. Next slide. We have 3 ongoing, which are MOU signed, 5 partners, and over 5 different clients. Discussion going on globally. Next slide. We are a team of 4 co-founders who are researchers, scientists, entrepreneurs with years of experience in AI and IoT domain. And particularly, we've been working with Singapore Group for the past 4.5 years. Next slide. We are looking to raise $600,000 worth of investment, and we are open for safe and convertible note as well. With this, we're going to deliver over the next 18 months 3 pilots and 5 commercial deployments. And we are also looking for introduction to gas utility companies and system integrators globally. Next slide. Thank you so much.
Great, thanks, Ishan. Okay, let's go to the Q&A now.
Yeah, maybe I'll kick off. Thanks, Ishan, for the presentation. In terms of your the competitor landscape, how different is your technologies from theirs? Is it an accuracy issue? Is it a price point issue? What's your differentiating factor, and how do you intend to maintain that?
Right. So it's first and foremost the current software companies, it depends upon what kind of a sensors that they're using. A lot of companies, they use fiber-based optic system like DTS, which we have also tried working with, and swell-based technologies, which are required to be deployed along the length of the pipeline. And they are 10 times easily more expensive to be deployed. And then if there's any cut in the middle, so the system stops working after that. So difficult to be maintained. That's our direct competitors, which can do exactly the same work what we can do in city gas pipeline network. We have companies, those who are building analytics alone software solution in higher pressure network, which is 50 kilopascal and above. But city gas is mostly around 2 kilopascal what we get into homes and offices. So for higher pressure, which is for transmission pipeline up until city gas network, there are analytics solution provider, but the deployment is usually using statistical model, not AI engine. When you're talking about AI engine, the city gas deployment totally changes because you have people consuming gas. The gas is based on your the pattern changes based on your seasonal variation, based on consumption pattern, based on festival seasons, and even varies from morning to day to the evening. So that's why we have an upper edge in terms of have an early mover advantage of working over past 4 years and collecting data from live network with Singapore Power Group at Clementi Church and various sites. That answers my question. If you
Bernard, do you have another question, Bernard?
If it's a AI model, is it just then a first mover advantage? What was to keep the competitor from also building another AI model and replicating the result?
Right. So yes. So first thing was yes, we have filed patent. It's a PCT global patent which is already filed. So that's our defensibility. Second, being an early mover advantage, having an early mover advantage and collecting 4 years of amount of data at different locations gives us already an upper edge in terms of data being collected. So any company who comes in this domain still requires to have those data. Still needs to go through the entire process. They have to have 1 year of at least data. They cannot cut short on that. Even if they deploy 100 people to build models, they still have to require to have that at least 1.5 years of data to understand all the patterns, variations. Then on top of it, you need to perform tests. We have over 4 years experience, done several tests, failed in a different ways, and understood what are the right testing mechanism that needs to be used. And with that, we were able to identify which are the right feature sets to be used. And then eventually, we were able to integrate those feature sets with even the data of seasonal variations and patterns, like day-to-day act. What are the festival season, all things which are happening. So those gives us an upper edge. Now, anyone can build those models, but it still takes time to refine those models and to collect that huge amount of data set that's required.
Thanks for the presentation. My key question and actually potentially concern is the amount that you charge per customer compared to the sales cycle of that customer. So on average, how long does it take for you to sell to a typical customer, and what do you expect to be a 24-month return on that same customer, average customer?
Right. So okay. So to answer the question, we have a sales cycle. So to reduce down the sales cycle, looking at also COVID time, we have launched a monitoring-based technique, which we call as a Fitbit of pipeline network monitoring. So that was our version 1, which I showed in my slides, and that can be deployed all online. We don't even have to ever go to the client side as well. So it's a deployment is quite straightforward, and we are looking at approximately looking into COVID. That's why the reason we've launched is actually special product line, and we are looking into approximately 3 months of clients conversion. Yes, it's a bit 3 months is a bit long, but it's a bigger I would say client. They have deep pockets, so they are comparatively a lot bigger clients. We have, based on our analysis of water pipeline network on charging factor, it's approximately a setup fee. Generally, in other domains, people charge is around 180,000 USD with a monthly reckoning of $120,000 USD. So it's over 2 years period, you can have easily $300,000 of a contract.
And are you expecting that from your average clients, because that's what the market's charging?
No, we are as we are quite early in this stage. We want to build a credibility and brand before we charge that amount. That's why the investment cycle comes into this picture. We are raising seed rounds of fund. What we have a unique approach of actually deployment, which is our version 1 model, which is quite fast and can be done all online. And this has actually helped us to reduce down the cost extensively. Our current deployment cost can be as low as 30 to 40,000 USD just for setup, and after that, the recurring we are using only a percentage of ROI that we are saving to them cost. So so even the cost factor wise, we are a lot more competitive in the market than any other.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, we have to wrap up, but I have two quick questions. What are you going to use this $600,000 that you're trying to raise? Is this for equity?
Yes, it's an equity round, and we are looking to provide 3 pilot projects and 5 commercial deployments with that money. And we require to hire a team of engineers. We have over 12 people, which always 10 tech people and 2 business people.
Okay, and the last question I have is, could this be applied to other pipeline systems like water? Or is that completely
Yes,
different?
absolutely. We have already done a simulations for water pipeline network, and we can show the pilot results on water as well as crude oil. We've got a big use case from Canadian market in crude oil, and yes, even in the future we are targeting also hydrogen, but that is a long shot.
Okay, well, I think that's all the time we have, but thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you, Ishan.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so thank you to all our top 12 finalists for your insightful pitching session. I believe our judges actually will have a hard time choosing the winner for today. And thank you to our viewers online on the PowerACE platform who are tuned in to PowerACE right now. Now let's give our judges some time to collate the results while we go for a short break. And I will see you here in the same platform again at 5:30 for the award ceremony. So currently, judges and top 12 participants, you'll be brought into your individual breakout sessions. And we'll see you guys again here at 5:30. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Hope everyone had a good 30-minute break. Okay, so the results of the PowerACE 2020 is freshly delivered to my hands. And before we announce the results, I'd like to invite Mr. Edwin Q, CEE's chairman, to give his closing remarks. Mr. Q, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to join you this afternoon. Clean tech has grown into one of the largest venture capital investment sectors globally. As many Asian cities struggle to deal with the effects of climate change, clean tech is providing the solutions that all need and all can adopt. I'm inspired to see so many of you, clean tech, clean energy startups here today, which really bodes well for the development of the clean energy, clean tech ecosystem in Singapore and within the Asian region and Africa, where it is most needed. This is an excellent platform to share your ideas, receive valuable feedback, and perhaps bring them, i.e. your ideas and technologies, a step closer to commercialization. My congratulations to all the top 12 shortlisted startups. I wish all of you success and compliment you for the hard work you have put into your project to be shortlisted, even though you did not win the top prizes. I hope you take this opportunity to continue to strive to improve on your innovation and your business plans and to put into practice the valuable lessons you have learned from this PowerACE competition. Importantly, never give up. Continue to believe in your innovation, your team, and yourself. I would like to take this opportunity to thank our partners and prize sponsors, and they are Private Financing Advisory Network for PFAN and Ecolab Center of Innovation for Energy for their invaluable partnership for PowerACE 2020, and to Enterprise Singapore for the continued and unwavering support. My special thanks to our esteemed judges and mentors. Thank you for your time advice, and encouraging remarks while assessing and interviewing all these startups. In closing, I would like to encourage all startups present here to continue your good work and contribute to the development and vibrancy of the clean energy space. You can also join SEAS in the Sustainable Energy Startup Network, or CSUN, where you can get an opportunity to seek market exposure, strategic partnerships, and investments. SEAS will be happy to assist and advise you on how to join us. I wish you all a fruitful time at ACES 2020. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Q, for the kind words. All right, now is the time that we're all waiting for. And it's time for the results. And we would like to thank all startups for the effort, our esteemed judges and mentors for their time and guidance to make this competition a success. First up, we will present the PFAN Impact Award. I'd like to invite Dr. Peter Dupont to say a few words first, please. Dr. Peter.
So first, I'd like to thank Edwin for his kind remarks and also just note the longevity of our relationship. PFAN is an international network of energy, climate, and finance experts. We have about 110 experts working around the globe who provide mentoring and coaching services to early stage companies with the aim of helping them to get investment. We're operated by UNIDO, and we have a number of donors, including governments such as Sweden, Germany, Norway, United States, Japan, and others. And we've worked together with Sustainable Energy Association of Singapore since 2010, doing an annual financing forum, which we can't do in person this year. But especially the last 3 years, we've been working on the PowerACE competition. It's really a pleasure. I'd also like to thank our judges, my co-jurors, Charlie, Ludwig, and Bernard, for their work. So the PFAN Award, which will be announced first, is for projects that are commercially viable, have a strong management team. They must deal with climate mitigation, resilience, or adaptation. They must be targeted towards low and middle income countries. And importantly, it's not for pre-revenue companies, but for companies that are operational businesses with a demonstrated customer base. And so, yes, it was a tough decision, but we're about to hear who won the award, the PFAN Impact Award.
Okay, so thank you, Dr. Peter. So I guess I won't keep everyone in suspense. I'll announce the first winner for the PFAN Impact Award. So ladies and gentlemen, the PFAN Impact Award worth $13,000, sponsored by the Private Financing Advisory Network, goes to Bird's Eye Energy Technology, Mr. Pranith Pilarisetti and team. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much, guys.
Congratulations, Pranith. So, can you just get for you to say a few words?
Yeah, absolutely. I would like to thank the PowerACE team and CSUN again for organizing and for this incredible opportunity. And it really goes a long way in kind of recognizing the efforts we're trying to put in to make this world a better place. I also want to thank my co-founder. He's joined. He's been a passive investor first, and he's joined me along the journey. So we wouldn't have been here if I was doing this alone. So I want to thank him and both of our families as well. And also, we've seen some great ideas taking shape in the form of other presentations, and I wish them all the best going forward.
Great. Okay, so now just stay on the line. We're gonna go for picture taking. Okay.
Sure.
We get our three judges, Kavita, Mr. Q, and Pranith, to stay on. Okay. I'll count 3, 2, 1. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Big smiles.
So Praneeth, I wish we could have given you this prize in person, but here it is, and you will get it very soon. That's your
Thank you so much.
Peace
Thank you
and
so much.
Impact Award for you.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm sure our paths will cross again. Look forward to it.
Yes. Congratulations, Praneeth.
Thank you,
And,
Nadia. Thanks for the support.
And I would just like to tell Praneeth, we'll be in touch with you regarding getting you on board for the coaching and mentoring services. So we'll do that within the next few days or within the next week. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
So we will now announce the Ecolabs Special Award, the award that everyone is waiting for. I'll still invite Dr. Peter Dupont to say a few words first, please.
Right. So this is just the criteria. So this is a special award with 100,000 Singapore dollars worth of services from Ecolabs. And the criteria are that A, the country has to be Singapore registered, SME or startup, and registered as a Singapore entity, has to have a Singapore market focus for design, development, and deployment, and a working roadmap for at least 12 months. And it should be a deep tech company with strong proprietary know-how backed by research and application.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Peter. Okay, so are you guys ready? The Ecolabs Special Award worth $100,000, sponsored by Ecolab Center of Innovation for Energy, goes to Resync Technologies. Amir Nurov, congratulations!
Thank you, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for everything, for mentoring.
Amir.
Thanks.
All right.
Can you hear me?
Can we get you to say a few words?
Yeah, sure. Thanks a lot for having us. First of all, we've been always part of CS, Sustainable Energy Association of Singapore. You guys doing a great job by bridging the gap between early stage startups and companies, and of course MNCs and enterprises. Thanks a lot to judges. Thanks a lot for mentors. And of course, all the sponsors and partners who are helping to organize these type of events to raise the awareness of what's happening in the energy sector. So thanks everyone. And of course, thanks a lot to the Resync team, because they've done a great job. I'm just a CEO, I'm the one who talks, but they do the real job on the ground. So yeah, thanks a lot.
Great job, Amir. Okay, all right. So now we're gonna go for a quick picture taking. Amir judges Mr. Q and Kavita. All right. Nice smiles, big smiles in 3, 2, 1.
All right, congratulations, Amir. You're right here in Singapore, and this is your award for PowerACE. I know you participated for quite a few years, and this was your year. So congratulations, and here's your award.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
We'll send this across. Yeah, congrats.
See you soon.
Okay, so all right, hi again. So we would now like to take a screenshot of all our 12 participants, our esteemed jury members, Ms. Kavita Gandhi and Mr. Edwin Q. So can you please turn on your cameras? Nice smiles, everyone. Martin, can we get you on? Yes, thank you. Ayman and Praneeth. Praneeth and Ayman, are you online? Can you turn on your cameras, please? Thank you. Okay, go ahead. All right. We'll count in 3, 2, 1. Big smiles. Oh, we have one more person. Okay, one more time. Hi, Iman. Okay, one more time. 3, 2, 1. Smile. All right. All right. Hi again, everyone. Okay. So it's been a day, quite a long day actually. So I'd like to thank everyone. We hope you all had a fruitful time and hearing the pitches by the startups. And we wish all our 12 startups all the very best in soaring further in the energy industry. Thank you to Mr. Q, Dr. Peter, Charlie, as well as Bernard. Thank you so much for your time in judging and have a good evening ahead, everyone. I hope to see you next year.
Yeah, I'd like to, Nadia, if it's okay,
Yes.
I would just like Charlie and Bernard and myself to briefly just say some words. They'll be very brief,
Sure.
but it was a very difficult decision. We were in awe of the quality of and innovativeness of the pitches, and there wasn't one pitch that was not quite disruptive and innovative in solving a real world problem. And I just wanted to encourage all of you and echo Edwin's words, keep going for it. I mean, everyone is a winner, as Kavita said in her opening remarks, but I also wanted Charlie and Bernard, who've been great to work with, to just share, just a minute of their thoughts as well. Because, we spent time on this and the company spent time on this and it was a really valuable experience. So Charlie?
Thanks, Peter. Look, I think you've really hit the nail on the head there. A lot of these businesses are very good businesses, and the scoring was very tight. I think when it came down to the top places, it was just a matter of that business happened to have potentially be slightly more mature or have other elements to it. But frankly, any of the businesses we've seen today have an opportunity at that top spot. And so we encourage you to come back next year and try and continue to present and apply, because I'm encouraged by the optimism and the quality of the startups in this particular competition. That there's really a lot to be done in the clean tech space. So really, really pleased. Thanks for having me on. I'm honored to be part of such an esteemed list of judges as well, and in the company of such great entrepreneurs.
Bernard?
Thanks, Peter. Thanks, Charlie. Maybe I can just echo what my two fellow judges have mentioned. I think the energy transition as well as energy access are huge opportunities. And I think today we heard a whole host of very, very interesting approaches towards helping to catalyze that transition. And I think all 12 teams who have made it this far out, they're all winners. And I look forward to seeing you, reading about you in the newspapers about your success in the future. All the best.
Yeah, thank you. And, I just would also like to thank the mentors. There were 6 mentors. And you could really see from the quality of the presentations, the advice and discussions that the companies had with the mentors were very effective, because they're all quite polished, and it's very hard to present a whole business plan and strategy in 5 minutes, but it was very well done. So thank you.
All right. Okay. So thank you to the esteemed judges once again, and thank you to everyone for tuning in on the PowerACE platform. And yes, I'll see you next year, hopefully. Thank you so much and have a good evening.
Thank you.